or not.
All right.
What's the record between you and Sonic Fox these days when you play Skullgirls?
Oh my god, they get so lucky every time. It is not
yeah.
good.
Luck, huh?
They
I
get
beat
so
it like
lucky
maybe
every
like
time.
one,
Every time
like
it's luck.
once out of like the 7 that like.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday show. I am James Chen, once again joined by UltraDavid and TuboWare. How you guys doing?
I'm doing so great, James. So great. So great. What about you, TuboWare?
My lamp is broken, so it's gonna be dark in here for until I buy one. I don't know, soon.
Great update. All right. Well, let's tell everybody what we're going to be doing today. We have, as you can see on the side here, number 1, we're going to be talking about the DNF Duel Beta. Number 2, we'll be talking about the fella who owns SNK nowadays. We'll be talking about Street Fighter V, which James is now calling the DP edition.
I don't sign off on this.
It's the
Week
definitive
number 1.
patch. It's the definitive patch. Come on.
He's going with it. Then we're going to have Dekillsage on to talk about a bunch of stuff, including Skullgirls and Dragon Ball FighterZ. We have our own 5-5 matchup about free-to-play fighting games. Then we'll get viewer question 5-5 matchup. Then we'll do the mailbag. And then we're out of here. But let's get back to the beginning and talk about DNF Duel Beta number 2.
All right. So, kind of out of nowhere, Beta number 2 just announced. I mean, there wasn't any like fanfare or anything like that. I mean, this is what DNF Duel has been doing, right? So, not even a big fanfare for telling us when it was
Very
getting
weird
released
marketing,
and
but
stuff.
whatever
but-
works, man.
And not much time in advance. It was like a week beforehand. I don't think it was
Yeah,
even
week
a full week
before.
beforehand.
No, I don't
we
think
found
it
out.
was.
Maybe not. Yeah, it was some days.
Yeah,
Some
it was
days.
very soon beforehand.
Hope you're at home, nerds. 'Cause we got this
Exactly,
thing going.
exactly. Yeah. So it happened. It was basically Saturday and Sunday, more or less, depending on where you live in the world, but like Friday night to Monday morning-ish, kind of. So Saturday and Sunday. And, you know, it was all the same characters as last time, plus Ghostblade, who was new, and, you know, basically the same otherwise. I don't know. Let's talk
Well,
about...
One thing I want to mention is, can you believe they released patch notes for the beta? Like,
That's right.
I think that's actually kind of neat and hilarious and
It was
adorable.
It was a choice. Yeah, it was a choice. I mean, hopefully it's like to set a good precedent that they're going to
Yeah,
be doing that often. But see, I mean, like, yeah, I think you put it right. I think it was cute. I think it was maybe a little bit of a waste of time, though.
Well, it was
Why
funny in
bother?
the actual notes that they had, too, because every character got a buff, and they really didn't change that much. There were, like, some slight changes here and
Yeah,
there.
that's what I mean. Like, all right, sure. I'm glad they're doing it.
And
Yeah.
again, I mean, to get into the game just a little bit, I barely played it the first beta. I got to play it a lot more for the second beta, but man, like, I'm glad that they only buff characters because I am really digging the. I mean, it's obviously not as broken or fast as Darkstalkers, but like the idea, vampire saviorish idea that every character is just really stupidly busted in their own way. And I like that. I miss having that kind of fighting game. And we're getting kind of close back to that era again because, you know, Strive is kind of messed up and 5's definitive patch has kind of like really made things a lot crazier now. But I really love the fact that, you know, what was it, Vanguard just had normals that just reached 3/4 across the screen because why not? And not like Dalsum style,
I mean,
but just like you
there's a
hit it and
multitude
it's
of
there.
characters who have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few characters have
There's
that.
a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Rangers, normals are just gunshots.
Oh,
He's just
yeah.
already shooting you.
Dude,
You mean Dante Pool? Yeah.
Dante Pool, fair
Dude,
enough. Yeah.
Ranger is ridiculous, dude. Holy crap. But yeah,
So,
I mean, so just to kind of get into this, which character stood out to you, you know, so far as being like really strong or just really
Well,
cool?
Before we get into that, I want to preface this that I don't have a PlayStation, so I didn't get to play, but I did watch a lot of the game. I watched a ton of it. Also, I wanted to just bring up, because I just want to make sure that we keep this in people's mind. This game is being developed by the same team that made Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It's made by Aiding.
Yeah.
So when people are like, "Oh, these characters are all nutty," yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they are. They made TVC and Marvel 3. Like, this isn't their first time having a Baroque function. You know, like that's
Right.
They're seasoned in doing this. However, yeah, obviously Dante Pool is like, duh, I'm playing that character day one, no question. That's like grenade, wait, lots of bullets, wait, do something crazy, wait. Like that's my character, no question.
You can just stay up in the sky forever as you're doing the
man.
conversions.
Dude, someone hit me with like a 30 some hit combo of just doing the Dante gunshot straight down into the shot, into concentration, into the shot.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Super sick, dude. It builds up so much white life. Like, there's so many already. People finding so many like white life building. Yeah, just absolutely
Inquisitor
strings. Inquisitor looks sick. I definitely want to try her, dude. I want to try everybody in the game. Like, maybe except for the grappler, and that's just because I just don't play grapplers.
Hi, Wooly. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate that.
Hey.
Oh, hey, what's up, Wooly?
Hope you're doing well.
Wooly and everyone.
I mean, as far as DNF Duel, maybe just more broadly, before we get to individual characters and how strong and stuff and interesting we think they are, I just wanted to say that as far as the game design goes, I'm really interested in some of the choices that they're making, because they have this kind of funky combination of like grounded Street Fighter-ish type of gameplay in one respect, but with like mega zany options from something like a Blaze Blue or an Injustice 1 or a Guilty Gear or whatever, like some other series that has some gnarly stuff in it. And then as far as the defensive tools, they give everybody at least something that is a counter, if not a full-on straight-up invincible DP.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you get a guard roll. There you can be guard crushed. There's Baroque, basically, as TuboWare was saying. There's guard cancel. So you can. There's like all these features in there that I feel like are, we did see people over the couple days of this beta, like definitely figuring some stuff out. But there's like clearly so much more, in my opinion, so much more potential for ability to find things, considering all of those. Like there's defensive tools for sure. There's gnarly offensive tools that are like clearly the first time you look at them, obviously gnarly offensive tools, and then once you know how the game is going to work really well, like they will be gnarlier. I really like that game design. Like let me have a zany fun party time. Like it's totally how it feels.
You just described Darkstalkers. That's why it's like the game that I keep coming back to for this game. It feels like kind of like it almost feels like this is like their application to be like, let us make the next Darkstalkers. Honestly,
that actually might be the legit most sickest thing you've ever come up with on the show, James.
Actually, not a bad idea at all. Yeah,
actually be OD. And Aiding worked with Capcom to make a new Darkstalkers. That might
in Arxis art style,
yeah,
dude.
Exactly.
Right?
Specifically Aiding plus Arxis. Yeah, Capcom can't be involved.
Yeah, Capcom would just be saying, go. That's all that they'd be there for, basically.
Boy. That would be very, very cool. So yeah, I just wanted to say that about the general gameplay, and then to talk about the other aspects of the game. It just looks really great. I love the art style. I think this is my favorite of the Arxis art styles in the new system that they've built. Like maybe I might say DBFZ just because it nailed how Dragon Ball looks so well. Like it just is so spot on.
That game still looks like it could have came out yesterday.
Dude, it's so great. Like it'll just always look great. Like it's just But as far as like my preferred art style, I think that this is the one that gets closest to it. Some of those cinematics, all the cinematics are sick that all the characters have. And then just like a lot of the character designs, I think are really, really cool looking. They have other stuff in the backgrounds that I think are super sick. There's like this kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, like a circular Egyptian mummy robot in one of the levels.
You're talking about the floating lion head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dang, okay, I'm going to have to go back.
Egyptian mummy, it's just hands in the lion head, and they just float there.
Yeah, right.
I mean, these are probably enemies from DNF, right? From the actual Dungeon Fighter.
Dude, I don't know, man. I played Dungeon Fighter when I was like 8 or whatever. Your game is old.
I just think it looks so cool. I really do like it, and it's got one of the gnarliest pre-match or pre-round start complete nonsense words.
English,
that I've seen
volition, the violation of
the seeds of volition, something else. I don't remember what it is, but like it's just a really, really nicely done complete nonsense, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Again, I think the game, like I said, so far I just love the fact that and you know what the cool thing about it is like this, they've kind of done this craziness, but it's kind of like, you know, mostly balanced. Obviously there's some characters that seem really strong, but like, you know, the Inquisitor, for example, the first time I tried playing Grappler in the first beta, and it was like 2 hours left in the beta. Everyone knew what they were doing, so it was too hard for me to learn. So I was like, all right, I'll just play Inquisitor. She's got an axe. She looks cool. And then I threw out a wheel, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever, right? Because it's just like this wheel, you're plus 789,000 frames, and like the other person just has to hold that. But in a weird way, like you look at that wheel, it's like, this is going to be the most broken move ever, and it's not. Like somehow they've managed to make it so that things are broken, but they're not. And I don't know.
But also, it's pretty broken.
Yeah, it is pretty broken.
At the same time, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't have very strong overhead lows. Is the issue. But I did see a setup.
Also, the game does have a block button.
Yes, you're right. So she also has a cross-up dash, but you don't really have to worry that much about that because of the block button. But I did see a setup where if you're in a certain situation in the corner, she can throw out wheel and then Baroque and then wheel and then yada yada, and she gets to ultimately guard crush.
Yeah.
So that seems like it might be pretty good.
Certain characters can guard cancel it and reach, but most characters will just get hit, and that might be the right choice, honestly. Guard cancel, just let yourself get hit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If so, that's the kind of defensive choice that I love. I love taking intentional. No, I'm being totally serious. I love defensive ideas that are intentionally taking some damage to escape others. I've always thought that's sick.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, again, like David was saying, the character design is just really sick. But you know, kind of going back to that, like, who stood out to you the most so far, David? Like, just fighting against.
Here's my experience with DNF Duel Beta. I played against Keats for about an hour, and we got a total of maybe 10 matches in because we had to restart the lobbies so many times.
Right.
And then I played for about another hour, and I got a total of about 5 matches in because we had to restart lobbies so many times, et cetera, et cetera. So I just stopped playing at that point. I didn't think that it was a good choice for me to just get frustrated trying to play, and that, not a great like mental health choice, I think, to like just sit there and continue to get frustrated about that. So I went and did other things for the rest of the weekend. But I did watch a bunch of it other than that. So I didn't have that much experience playing in it this time. I played way more last time. And when I played, it's been with Grappler, and with previously in the previous beta, I played with Vanguard a little bit. I want to play with Crusader. My intention was to play with Crusader this time, but I just didn't want to sit through the horrible lobby mess.
That's true.
I saw your passive aggressive tweets, David.
What was passive about that?
If the lobbies don't want to work, I can mow the lawn or whatever.
I don't know. Was that passive in your mind?
It was.
I felt like I was being very actual aggressive.
That's California aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so as far as the characters go, I certainly liked a lot of what I saw in terms of many of them. I think that as somebody who was playing Grappler, and a lot of what I've watched since then has been Grappler. I've been like looking up YouTube vids and stuff. I think you look at Grappler initially and you think that the character has a tough time getting in or a tough time defending, etc. But I think people were already doing 50% damage combos,
dude,
and they're going to be better combos than that. And they ended up with him being in a mix-up right after that. So he can very practically two-touch, like already,
yes.
like day minus 85 or whatever it is. He can already do that stuff. And in the future, that's going to be even stronger. So I think he's got this cool classic grappler design. And what I like about it as well is that he actually gets big damage out of command grab. It's not like in many cases, many grapplers, you get a command grab and that's cool. Maybe it's for setup or something. But like where you really get damage is in hitting. And Grappler does big damage, whether he's doing command grab into Baroque into whatever, or it's just like a hit into it. So I love that kind of mix up. That's definitely something I'm interested in.
I'm glad Ranger has a DP. Put it that way.
Like basically everybody has a DP.
Dude, Ranger. Okay, like I haven't played Ranger, but I fought a couple of really strong Rangers. I think that character is a problem. Holy crap, that character is terrifying.
It's just early game zoning. Once you get the feel for the game, he'll drop down to normal. That's how zoners always are, right? Zoners and grapplers both. They always feel strong at the start of the game.
The Rangers that I fought were like Street Fighter V Dalsum version of zoning. It's like you're sitting there, you block, you zone, and then he gets one good setup, and then he's just in your face.
Yeah, you block one grenade, and then you're eating shit. It's just
and then it's just like Yoga Gales.
Like the game plan is exactly the same.
Yeah, and so it wasn't just pure zoning. I mean, I felt like his offense was really, really strong as well. But, I mean, I think everybody feels like right now Crusader is the strongest, but that's also because none of us know what he's doing. And
I've actually read a lot of people think Berserker is the best.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
Berserker's really strong, too.
Because Berserker can... Everybody else has to have the opponent cause white damage to them. Berserker gets to do it to himself and just keep going bonkers. Just keep pressuring, keep pressuring.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets Baroque over and over again, or whatever it's called in this game. But it's definitely
and
just
his
Baroque.
standing medium, dude, it's like it doesn't reach as far as everybody else's, but it just has priority for days. Like the hitbox on that thing is ridiculous. I mean, it hits people out of the air when they try to jump. Like he just stabs straight, and it punishes. It's super fast. It's like Berserker's kind of sick too. But Crusader, obviously, you know, Agano style, can just build walls wherever he wants to, but the walls actually hit you, and there's no obvious animation that he's starting it. And so when you get hit by the wall, then all of a sudden he does like 50% damage for a, you know, move that you can't even see telegraphed that hits you no matter where you are on the screen. Crusader's pretty nuts so far, and I feel like most people would agree.
Can you block in this game? Can you just up back like?
There's no air blocking.
There's no air blocking.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rough.
Dude,
rough.
I mean, the first half an hour of me playing this game was me trying to air block and double jump everything. And, like, I couldn't do either of those things, so.
Now I'm terrified.
Yeah, you're just walking around, man.
Dude,
I mean,
if you jump and
like,
Inquisitor throws out the wheel, you're done, so.
Like, there's roll, there's dash, obviously there's jump. It's not like you're literally just walking, but yeah, it's not as mobile as some other games. That's why I think that it has this kind of Street Fighter-y, but on mega craziness vibes, you know. And I think that's a really cool combination. Again, it kind of reminds me of Injustice 1 in that way, with just like bizarre character designs that get to do things that you like don't really think are reasonable to do, but in the context of the game, it kind of works out.
Yep. Oh, man.
Dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, like, I've seen some people in the chat talk about how Striker is really strong, and I never really got to fight particularly strong strikers, and I you know, obviously I've got giant wheels of death and flaming flame carpets and stuff, so it was hard for her to get in. But, I mean, I can imagine, yeah, like David was saying, you give us training mode and, like, everything is going to go straight to hell in this game, you know.
Yeah.
DNF, they put out a poll for the people who play the beta so that you can go fill it out. And all of my answers were it's too early to tell because, you know, literally...
Well, what were the questions?
Some of the questions are like, who seems the strongest? Do you think we should, you know, keep it more friendly for beginners? Do you feel like the offense is too strong? Or do you feel like we need to add more defense? You know, stuff like that. And every answer I had to put was it's too early to tell because we have no training mode. Like, you know, I even wrote in one of the comments where you could finally type in there because it asked, who do you think is the strongest? And I put Crusader. And in my answer, I was like, I think it's even dangerous for me to say that Crusader is the strongest because with training mode, we might just figure out how to fight him. And at that point in time, maybe he doesn't end up being strong. I was just like, we just can't tell anything right now.
I think that sounds right, yeah.
I mean, that's fair. I think it's a bit concerning if they're even asking.
Oh, yeah?
To be honest. Yeah. I mean, I understand why they're trying to put like their best foot forward and make it seem like we're listening to the fans, and I get it, I understand, but also the fans are stupid, so very, very stupid, so horribly dumb that they don't know what they're talking about, and I worry that if you're trying to put your best foot forward and try to show that, we're listening to the fans, and then you do it, and it makes the game horrible.
Well,
and it's too late. You can't go back on it now. You're listening to the fans.
Yeah, I mean,
they find out that the fans don't know. They don't know.
You
shit.
you are 100% correct, but the fans from the polls is what got us rollback and strive. And both of those, there's still Arxis, kind of in the lead there. So hopefully they're smart enough to realize.
Yeah, but I think a
suggestion.
game feature is much different from game balance.
I really don't think they're going to be taking too close of a look. I think it's more like, what if 90% of people are like, this character's too good? Like maybe then you kind of think about it, but that's not how it's going to end up. Of course, it's going to end up a lot closer than that. And I don't know. I would be very surprised if they like took it verbatim or as gospel or anything in that way. So I
would hope not, but it's worrying for me.
To me, it seems more like it is trying to see if there's any like big outlier, there's any big problem that like is immediately apparent in 2 days, 3 days, and other than that is probably just like intended to let people know that they're paying attention and that they're going to be doing their best when it comes to keeping an active eye on balance.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's still not going to be out until I believe June 28th. Yeah. It is quite a while away, but pretty sick beta.
Yeah,
except for we haven't talked about this much yet, except for me briefly complaining. The lobbies are very bad.
They're awful.
They're awful.
It's so bad. I am not looking forward to the game coming out and me being stoked about it. And then the first week, the lobbies don't work because that's how it always works. And then after that, even after they quote unquote fix it, I'm going to struggle as I look through all of these weird little graphical lobbies for no reason, trying to find somebody who happens to be in the same lobby as me instead of just pressing a button and getting matched up with another person to play fighting games against. It's just going to suck. But hey, on the other hand, lobbies may not be important because locals may be coming.
I'm holding out that they have a matchmaking system just like Dragon Ball FighterZ does.
That would be nice.
Please, guys.
Yeah.
Do it.
I mean, obviously this beta was very sparse. No training mode. They didn't let us have. I mean, we have no information on anything. Is there going to be any one-player content? Hell, if the game came out and literally had no training mode, like that could still actually be a possibility at this point. It's just we literally know nothing about the game, so it's kind of a weird situation.
I'm confident it'll have a training mode.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, the game will be DOA. Like people, or you're just gonna have to do the same thing that we used to do in the days where we just did versus mode and then set one person to 8-star, the others to 1-star, and used your toad to block once you started hitting the opponent to see if it was a true combo or not. That's what I did.
What a time! All right, let's move on.
Okay. In the next step of unfortunate kind of news out here, so there was talk about SNK being partially purchased by the Saudi prince. An article came out today on The Verge. I think it was today.
Yep.
It is today. That apparently now that Saudi prince owns 96% of SNK.
96.18%.
That's a big percent.
It sure is.
And honestly, look, I don't know anything about stocks, and this just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I was talking to Olaf about this. Isn't there an infinite amount of stocks? Can't you just buy stocks or whatever? But no, apparently not. And so how does someone get all the stocks?
Kind of.
I guess you go out there and find everybody who owns the stock and you actually buy it off of them. Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm. That is correct. It's also possible to issue way more stock if you want to, but then that's watering down the value of stock, so it's not as commonly done. And
it's like trying to print money to make the value of your money go higher. It doesn't work very well usually.
It is important for some investment schemes, but anyway, whatever. Don't need to get into that. Definitely, this is a case of him buying other people's shares. So it's not specifically him as a human being. It is the Mohammed bin Salman Foundation. So it's his foundation, and we've talked about this before, as it's gotten ownership in 5% in Capcom. I believe the same in Nexon. And
Nexon.
Some others as well.
Yeah, we mentioned it down here.
That's a different foundation though that owns Capcom.
No,
Or that
it's,
Oh no, you're right. My bad. You are correct. That's the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund.
You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's a
You're,
public
you're totally right
investment
about
fund.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a monarchy. There's like some degree in which you can't really separate the state from the person. But yeah, no, fair point. So look, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what to say about this because we've talked about it in the past. I don't love supporting things that the Saudi state owns. It's not a case of me not wanting to support something that like the Saudi people own or don't own. It's specifically supporting a state that I think is doing bad stuff. And you know, they own a significant amount of fighting games at this point. SNK 96%, Capcom 5%. I'm not going to stop playing fighting games, honestly. I mean, I'm gonna keep doing the stuff that I like. It's just I feel disappointed about it, but I also feel that like I don't know, man. I mean, there's just a lot of things in the world that are like this, and you kind of got to pick your battles on it. And I think this is one where I'm going to keep playing the fighting games.
I mean,
there's no ethical consumption under capitalism.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's exactly. You said that last time we were talking about this, Tubo, and it's just there's no ethics in consumption. It just really isn't, right? And again, there's the whole good place thing, right? Like it's just like you can't. Everything you do has that kind of now. Obviously, this
chain of consequences that are unforeseen to yourself.
Right, and you know it's kind of weird because obviously the guys like Oda and the entire KOF team have very little control over this.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
They can't really do much about this, and they're sitting here making this game. But you know, again, you know, absolutely 100%. If this is information that makes it so that you don't want to play KOF 15 or anything that SNK touches or works on, you are 100% justified. Like, you know, again, you know, it's tough. Like, I wish I could not support Amazon, but honestly, like, I'm like completely indoctrinated into Amazon at this point in time, right? You know, like
Super Moose Z brings up a good point in the chat. They say no ethical consumption is not an excuse to consume without impunity.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Totally agree.
When I say what I said, it doesn't mean to, you know, buy all the stuff that is made by horrible people and support Nazi brands or anything like that. What I'm saying is you have to pick your battles.
Yeah.
That sometimes there's things that are out of your control. That means you just have to do what you have to do. If you want to play an SNK game, that's cool, but just understand that if you know what it means, that you know what it means, and it's a battle that's not worth fighting for you right at that moment. And it has nothing to do with you as a person. It has nothing to do with your morality. It's just the fact that I can't buy water from Nestle because Nestle stole the water, you know, like, and for some people, it's very hard to not use Nestle products. For some people, it's very hard to not use Amazon. For some people, it just is what it is. So, you know, pick your battles. Pick your battles.
Especially because under late capitalism, like there's 4 companies that own everything. Like it's crazy when you actually find out the umbrella. Like they've done such a good job at making sure that whatever they produce has a different name, that you don't realize everything is owned by one. I mean, I think I saw like the Nestle tree or something like that, but it like makeup and this and that, like they own like everything, you know. And it's, I don't know, it's an annoying situation, honestly.
I mean, the best way forward, in my opinion, is not necessarily through things like, are you going to play KOF? Are you going to play Street Fighter 5 or not? But it's through activism. So, I mean, if you're somebody who cares about this kind of stuff, then activism's the way. I mean, I'm part of a local group that does things. I have helped run political campaigns in the past. Like, that's a very important part of my life.
I ran Joe Biden's campaign.
I ran good old Joe's. I did do phone banking for them, and it was
Yeah.
horrible for me. I am so awkward and on just it's very tough for me to be on the phone. As easy as it is.
Hey, this is UltraDavid. Mm.
I really hate talking on the phone. I don't know. It's anxiety inducing, but I did that anyway. Whatever. So if you're somebody who feels strongly about this stuff, I think it's more important to realize that there are better ways, more constructive ways to actually get around it, like activism, organizing, that kind of stuff, making sure to vote if it's on something that you do have some control over. And again, that's not to say
I
that
agree.
It's not to say that in the other things that you should ignore all of the other problems, as long as you feel like you're like doing the things that you can do in that way. You don't need to do that. I think, as Brock said, it's about picking and choosing your battles. So this is a tough bit of news. Wish it wasn't like this. I also would rather pick my battles with other things and take my sort of activism and energy, do it elsewhere.
And the crazy thing too is like the history of SNK. Like Olaf will probably talk about this more, but he was just telling me today like how much the guy who created SNK had to struggle to even keep ownership of SNK, because remember, it went bankrupt and it got bought out by a pachinko company and all this other stuff, and eventually he got it back, and now it's just kind of a
It is what it is.
Boycotting is definitely a form of activism. I would not tell you to not do that. If that to you seems like it's the best way forward, you're not going to hear anything negative about that from me.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I mean, I'm probably going to keep playing KOF 15. If you judge me on that, 100% justified. If you don't want to play the game, 100% justified. I will have no qualms about that at all. So,
however, how does it make you feel that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of the Saudi royal family almost certainly knows who at least James Chen is? Almost for sure.
What? No.
Almost for sure.
No.
Yeah, almost for sure.
Almost for sure.
You
Are you
don't
telling
buy
me
96% of SNK and not know stuff about KOF.
He's a huge nerd. The Saudi royal
Probably
government,
watch it synchronize.
Honestly, it's plausible.
For listens, at the very least.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, there was a Saudi rep at Evo Japan a few years back. They have had other fighting game events that are state sponsored there. They have some ownership in both KOF and Street Fighter V. Almost for sure, he knows who James Chen is. It's just a weird thought. I don't know what to make of it. Really,
a weird thought. I mean, I felt that way when I found out like Jamie Lee Curtis
me too,
knows who I am, right? Like Jamie Lee Curtis probably knows who I am, right?
Probably.
And now Jamie Lee Curtis has had very strong ties with FGC. I literally know people who have like in the FGC who have become very good friends with her and stuff like that. So it's just weird, I mean, like I said, Ming-Na Wen freaking follows me on Twitter right now, dude. One of my favorite singers out there responds to my tweets to her, and she has like 1 million followers, dude. Like it's kind of wild. So,
all right, yep, there you go. There you go.
But again, look,
all I got is Lupe. That's my most famous follower.
That's pretty cool, though.
Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, you have to make your decisions, and like you guys are saying, you have to pick your battles, right? And again, I have no qualms about anyone, if you judge me, if you judge anyone else, if you do all this stuff, it's perfectly within your right. But man, it's so difficult these days to live that. Yeah, again, no ethics and consumerism. Yeah, basically. So
it's rough, man. It's hard. It's hard out there. All right, you know what else is hard? This name that you gave, saying this name you gave Street Fighter V.
It's the Dragon Punch patch, man. It's the DP.
Nope.
Come on.
Nope, it's definitely not what I'm thinking of here.
Yeah.
Why
do you call it the DP again?
All I see is DP Week 1. That's what I'm seeing right now. DP Week 1.
They call it the definitive edition. It's the definitive patch.
So why don't we just call it the definitive edition? Why not DE?
Because the DP is so synonymous with Street Fighter, right? Everyone talks about the DP.
Yeah, but not people who don't know it's Street Fighter. Like, matter of fact, not even people that don't play the game competitively. No
But
one,
here's the
like,
thing,
it's
right?
common knowledge that that's a Dragon Ball.
Right, but
That's
people,
not
right,
like a-
but we're already using that abbreviation all the time, right? Like, if you're sitting there and talking about, like, fighting games, it was like, oh, she tried to stick out her leg, and I just DP'd her right away.
There's
like,
a lot
you know,
of weird things that we say in the FGC that we probably shouldn't anymore, too. I
What
don't think
about-
we need to add to it.
What about a nice meaty DP?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
dude, you hit him with the meaty
Little-
DP.
a nice meaty DP.
All right. So we talked about the patch a little bit last week, but that was just the very first day that it had come out. We just had access to the patch notes only for like a day at that point. And it's always really hard to get a good sense of a patch on literally the day it comes out. Also, not that easy after a single week either, but you definitely have a better perspective.
Sure,
than
brain
on
genius like
one
me,
day.
and I figured it out in one day.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I think it'd be nice if we talked a little bit about the patch and how we view it after a week. Now that we know a little bit more about what actually changed, etc., and how it actually plays out in the game. What do you guys think? How's the patch
Korra,
overall?
gutted. Zangief, gutted. E Honda, probably actually not, but gutted. All right, all my favorites. This actually destroyed.
Wait, did you say Zangief is one of your favorites?
Yeah, because I like when David's happy. He's a good friend of mine. But
Whatever.
He had Dhalsim. So all my favorites and my friends' favorites absolutely gutted. And some characters got the world, and Luke is still the best. And what other knee-jerk reactions are there? I'm just trying to think of all of them that I've seen. Just a Kid put out a jury tier list that made her look like she was top tier. I don't know what that was about. Alex is insane. Alex is so
Alex
cool
is-
now. Actually,
Alex is one of the big
Alex
winners.
is dope now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and in all seriousness, Alex is one of the big winners. Bison's a big winner. Luke probably got a little bit worse, but is still the best in the game probably. Guile, I think, is one of the big winners. I mean, he just kind of stayed winning, right? Like him and Bison both. Maybe even arguably Dhalsim. All kind of just stayed winning.
Yeah,
I think there's actually an argument that Dhalsim's the best character in the game.
really?
That's my honest opinion, James. Yep. I think that he was already really strong. I wouldn't have said that he was top 5 before, but he was just outside of it. And 3 of those top 5 got nerfed. 2 of them pretty substantially. And the other one, I think that he beats. And other than that, like, there's going to be characters who give him trouble. Dictator gives him trouble. He's really, really strong. Alex is probably really strong now. That gives Dawson trouble. Nobody wins every matchup in this game. Not even Luke, for sure. So I think that doesn't mean that you're not the best if you lose matchups. I really think there's a chance that is the case. I don't know. It sounds weird for me to say, but I think that is plausible. And as far as Luke goes, boy, there is a lot of reaction out there that has Luke being
There sure is some reaction going on out there.
There's some reaction where Luke is the character that you have to play. I've seen quite a few takes from top level players, ranging from Daigo to people in NA to Caribbean to Europe, etc. People all over the place who have said that they feel that if they're not playing Luke, are they really playing to win? Because they feel that he is clearly the best character in the game. And I guess I just think that that's not... I think that doesn't seem right to me. Without saying that I don't think he's the best, because he definitely could be the best. I don't feel that he is so far ahead. I didn't feel he was so far ahead last patch, although, again, he was clearly one of the best.
Right.
But he got a little bit worse, and several other characters got quite a bit better, and several other characters didn't really change that much, but got like a little bit better. I don't think they should have buffed Luke's V-Trigger. That seemed like a big mistake to me. But other than that, like, I don't know. Yeah, I think he's one of the best. I don't think it's the case of you need to play Luke. But I also wouldn't be surprised if when the CPT starts up at the end of this month, it's soon, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of people...
Army of Lukes.
I would not be at all surprised to see that. Yeah.
No.
Because I think there is, even if it's maybe not 100% right, I think a lot of people will have that perspective, and that like might make it right, if that makes sense.
Bless you.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm allergic to Luke, I guess. No, I mean, the thing about it is, was Luke even as strong as Seth was when Seth first dropped? You know, like, I feel like Seth was kind of
I would
scarier.
think so.
Probably.
I would think so.
But, I
Just
mean,
because
is
of the
he
amount of people that automatically put Luke in their back pocket.
Right, but I mean, like, is it significant? Because everybody played Seth as well. Do you remember freaking
but the
Street
difference
Fighter
is
League?
they knew more patches were coming when Seth was there. They knew that was not the last patch. More balanced patches were coming. Luke this is it. This is the definitive edition.
Theoretically, I mean, I still think that there's potential for a few bug fixes and stuff. Like, there's actually a bug with Lucia that is really weird. I've never seen this before, where rolling and back rolling gets you out of a combo that's not an OTG. Like, that one just doesn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever, because I've never seen that before. But I don't think Luke is that much stronger. But I'm just really glad that they were able just to make it so that the characters can be absolutely wild. Like, just the combo routes, like the increase in combo routes, I think is just so much more interesting and so much more fun, because one of my favorite parts about fighting games is seeing people turn stray hits into conversions, which is why I love Marvel, which is why I love Guilty Gear so much, because both of those games were like known for that kind of thing. And it's so, I feel like there was a clip of Problem X landing something with Alex and then just doing this ridiculous juggle, and he was just like, clip that, and I think it's really, really cool. So, it's one of the things that I enjoy about fighting games, is that kind of spur of the moment, oh my god, and conversion. And I really feel like Street Fighter V has upped that a lot and just given people a lot more opportunity to go different routes to have players express themselves better. I love this patch right now. I haven't really taken it online yet, because there's just too many damn fighting games. But like, I really do really like this patch a lot. And if this is, their mindset going into Street Fighter 6, then, I mean, that makes me even happier, right? But, I really do hope that, like I said, I hope that what they mean by the definitive patch is this is going to be the last big major change. But if there's going to be, like, they could still tweak a few small things here and there, and I think that would work. I think they could still do minor things like, fine, just turn Luke into a 950 character, or maybe even make him a 900 character. Like, screw it, just make him like Cammy, basically, so that he falls apart when he gets hit. So, but Luke is clearly the biggest problem right now, in most people's eyes. And then, of course, the biggest loser so far seems to be Urien. A lot of the Urien players are really frustrated now. Does that mean now that they don't have a Wake Up EX, they just don't know how to play anymore because they've never had to hold that defense, before? But I
mean, it was already not a good Wake Up. I think it was 12 frames per up, if I recall correctly. So they've already kind of had that. I think they did not need to both get rid of his EX invul and also make Aegis 7 frame startup instead of 5. So there are some things that I wish that they hadn't done. I agree that overall it's probably the best patch, but I leave open the possibility that Luke runs the show, and then that would be a bummer. And maybe it could be like how in after Ultra came out and Geef initially had extremely good regular green hand, they ended up nerfing that a little bit. You remember that? So there was actually a post Ultra patch.
Right.
Maybe they could do that kind of stuff again. I wouldn't be opposed to that. So I guess we'll see. Alex is a new man. I think he's definitely the big winner.
Yeah, big
Honda's
winner.
fine.
And Urien probably the big loser. I actually do think Lucia might be slept on right now, because I think she's actually really good. A lot of people are starting to, they've improved her V-Trigger 2 so much that a lot of people are thinking that's the trigger to go with now. And I'm really happy with that.
Right? Did James say that?
James thinks Lucia is good.
Lucia might be good?
Finally, yeah.
I knew it all along.
Finally.
She always
saw the potential.
Dude, even Punk, who plays Lucia, put her at the bottom of the tier list, okay? Punk, who played Lucia,
Classic
and when she first came out, said
characters so
that
they can bring them out at the end of Evo, final game. Oh, here's my pocket Lucia. I know what he's up to.
I think Alex won Evo in TVC, right? Didn't he?
Alex did win Evo in TVC.
Yeah.
So maybe TVC is Alex's best showing, but
he could fight giants. That was the reason why he was good back then. He could fight giants. And he was one of the only characters who could, because you could command grab giants and interrupt their armor. and Alex could do that. And, like, very few other characters could do anything about the armor. So Alex was a specific counter-matchy kind of character.
All right. Well, before we take a little break, can I tell you guys about a nightmare that I had over the weekend? It was just, I got to get it off my chest, man. It was really traumatic. Is that okay? All right. Well,
sure, go for it.
There I was in the densest, dankest part of this huge rainforest. I couldn't see very far. Jungle was just like too dense. The vegetation was like too fibrous and gnarled. The trees so tall and tangled, their branches full of split ends. And the smell! It was like a cave nearby had shot 1,000 farts into this jungle over the years. And despite all the showers, all the constant rain showers, it still had thousands more to give. As freaked out as I was, I knew that I had to get out. So I started to walk, and I walked up and down what felt like these two enormous round hills. And suddenly, through the trees, I began to barely make out the outline of something big. It was like a huge cylindrical, like head-shaped sculpture. It was so tall. It was so wide. I mean, not like so long and so wide that like it would be painful, but still huge. And yet I could barely see it. David? Amidst all this runaway flora. Suddenly, the hills beneath my feet began to rumble. Oh, this racket all this foliage was making as each giant tree trunk rubbed up against all the others nearby, and the head began to grow, rising upwards and outwards, staring at me, and all the while, paradoxically, maddeningly, somehow remaining hidden ever behind its bush. Well, I couldn't take it. I sprang out of bed, swing, and I thought, okay, dreams, I get it, fine. I'll take care of it already. I went to the bathroom, and I picked up my Manscaped TM Lawnmower 4.0 TM, and I started clearing out that fetid jungle that I had allowed to conquer my body over those many years. And thanks to how quiet it was, I didn't wake anyone up. And thanks to its flashlight, I didn't need to turn on the lights. And thanks to its guard, I didn't get any nicks. And thanks to the quality battery life on the rechargeable Lawnmower 4.0 TM, I was able to cut down all the trees to size that very night. And so, a few hours later, I crawled back into bed, exhausted. My wife turned to me and she said, "David, are you okay? You were tossing and turning a lot earlier, and then I noticed you were gone." And she had this like cute little hint of a yawn in her voice. I could tell that she was just like rousing herself just to check on me. I love her very much. She's great. And I looked her in the eye. So glad to be in the waking world once more, no longer in my nightmare. And I said softly, a tender smile beginning to dance, a slow progression across my lips. I said, "Honey, you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code UCTV at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code UCTV. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped."
Did your nightmare go away?
Whew, what a dream. What a dream. It was a tough night. It was a tough night. I didn't get very much sleep that night, let me tell you that. But I did come away from it being a little cleaner than I was before, and in the end, wasn't it worth it?
How much of that story was taken from your Avatar fanfic?
I know. It honestly sounds like it could have been very similar, because I think we were talking about, like, the one that we read on stream was about, like, some guy hearing voices in their sleep and waking up and staring into the mirror and stuff like that. Yep. It's like a repurposed fan fiction, I think. So
maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it's been lurking around in my psyche for the last 15 years.
That's why it's been you're having nightmares about it, dude. It's in that nightmare. Psyche. Oh man, my God.
Well, there you go. Please check out Manscaped for us.
Well done.
We are going to take a break. We're going to have Dekillsage after this. We're going to be talking about Skullgirls, Dragon Ball Fighters, and so on and so forth.
Let's hear what he thinks about Lab Coat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Be right back, guys.
Parentheses. Lab Coat.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Tuesday show. We are now going to be bringing on our guest for the day. It is none other than Mr. Dekillsage. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing good. Dekillsage.
Yeah, Dekill apparently. What's going on, Sage? Thanks a lot for hanging. So we're gonna get.
I like the brick, by the way. Before we get into the serious stuff, I like the brick.
The New York City brick apartments.
Yeah, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, so we'll talk about a few things. We'll get to your thoughts on current Skullgirls and Dragon Ball, etc. But let's start by just talking about how you got into the competitive FGC in the first place. What's your origin story?
When I was like around 15, I'm 29 now. I was a Smash player. I played Brawl. So one day I just was watching like Mewtwo King versus KG Korean DJ on YouTube, and I was like, I kind of want to play too. So I went on Smash Wars, and I found a local not too far from my home. And since that first tournament, I've just been playing games competitively since. But that's like Smash fighting games. I didn't really get into until like around like Marvel 3. That's the one I spent the time to learn. I love team games, so like Marvel 3 was a no-brainer. The same reason I play SG is like, a new team game, I'm gonna play it. That's basically where I started.
Well, okay. I mean, it sounds like you kind of started a little bit before that, right? I mean, you were already interested enough in Smash to like be somebody who knew what's up. You were aware of even who people like Mewtwo King and Korean DJ were. Like, how did that interest come about? Like, what about Smash got you into it in that way beforehand?
I just played a lot of Melee. It was like random. Like when YouTube was new, I was just like high level Melee play, and like MOG was like the only thing at the time, and I was like, yo, these guys are crazy. So yeah, like I didn't know who Mewtwo King and KDG were at the time. I just remember that match specifically because that's the match that got me into competing. But yeah, no, if I never found that video, who knows what I would have been doing.
What about the competition appealed to you? Like, are you somebody who's a competitive person in general?
Kinda. I would say like I'm like 70-30, like in terms of like being competitive. Like I do like competition, I like competing. But what kept me like around was more so like the social aspect, the camaraderie between like your scene and stuff like that. I enjoy that nowadays more, but back then like I just wanted to play good people, and I wanted to do the cool stuff that they were doing in the videos. Like that's what really got me into it. It's just like they're doing cool stuff. Like how do I do that? I got to go to these tournaments to learn.
Well, how does it feel now that to skip ahead? We'll come back to your origins, but how does it feel now that you're the guy that people go, I want to do the cool stuff like Dekillsage? How does that feel to turn that around?
It's very weird. I definitely get a lot of people who are just like, yo, like you inspired me to pick up DBFZ or like Teen Gohan or Broly or like Skullgirls, right? It's just never thought I would be the person people find on YouTube, you know. I never thought I would ever make it to that level.
I mean,
I just really just like doing the cool stuff.
I mean, you're kind of technically in like a gamer house now, right? You've got a lot of very quality roommates at fighting games, I think, right? So, I mean, how did that come about?
Good players.
Yeah, so I live with Sonic and Noon now. Noon's my boy. I met him through Dragon Ball. We got pretty close during that. But I knew Sonic for a long time. We were Skullgirls players. Yeah. And back in the day, if you were a Skullgirls player, just like, you're a Skullgirls player, you're my boy. That's it. We're just like this. Right. Sonic basically is one of the big reasons why I still not even like just play, but like decided to compete in other games. Because I only liked SG. But Sonic was like, yo, play NRS games, like play these other games, like you'll be good. It wasn't until like Marvel Infinite I was like, I'm not gonna play, and they're just like, you're gonna play. Here's a copy of the game, basically. You're gonna play, and it's the same thing for Dragon Ball.
We'll play today.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, we've just been friends for a long time, and they've always just like wanted me to just keep playing. Eventually during Dragon Ball, we ended up moving in together. One, to just like live somewhere, and two, just because at the time we were getting smoked in Dragon Ball by international players. You're like, like, we got to do something about this. It just ended up working out. Like, we just moved in together and got way stronger as a result.
Yeah, you kidnapped Super Noon from Southern California, man.
We had to for the one time. We'll send him back when he's ready.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, it's complete.
When he's ready, he can go back. Yeah.
So, how did you to wind it back a little bit? How did you get into Skullgirls, and what so appealed to you about that game?
So, I just like team games. When the game was first being showed off, like Mike just showed off like this crazy Cerebella combo or something. I was like, bro, this is a bombo. I have to play this game. I have to achieve bombos. what ended up making me sick of it was I was just getting really annoyed at Marvel 3. Like I was just like, oh, I'm doing so good, and this dude just hit me with one character and wiped my whole team. And just like I
Yeah.
would get so frustrated at the time. I didn't know like how to stop it or what to do. But SG, like you would die if you get hit, but it wasn't like that. Like there wasn't a comeback mechanic that really appealed to me. And it had all the versus game things I loved outside of like team supers. I ended up just falling in love with it and just playing it like a lot. I was like, yeah. There was no other team game at the time that was new either, so there wasn't really much to pick.
Yeah, I remember that window because I kind of had the same thing. I went through a phase where I hated Marvel 3. I ended up like refalling back in love with it, but there's
Yeah.
definitely this like long phase where I hated it. And that's
Everybody
when
comes back to the greatest game of all time.
well, eventually I did, but I definitely went through that phase, and that's when Skullgirls came out. Like it would happen to be during that same amount of time, and like I'm in SoCal. I was friends with Mike at the time, and a ton of my friends were playing it. So it was definitely a game that a lot of us in SoCal were playing as a result. But like at some point, we noticed that there were a lot of new people who I don't know new, but like people who we didn't know as like part of like the existing longtime FGC. Who were starting to show up and playing it a lot and like doing really well, not just in like offline, but like everywhere. What about that game do you think led to it having this like really dedicated set of players? I mean, it has sort of a dedicated player base in a way that not many games have.
Yeah, very, very dedicated, I'd say.
Yeah, it's definitely very different. I think it's just us being lucky and just the right people playing it. Like the fact that we have Sonic playing it is huge, and I guess at this point, it's a big deal. But when I was like initially learning the game, we all like came together. Like one person was streaming it, and we all like just ended up there, and we all just got to meet each other there. That's when the PC version came out. A bunch of new players were playing.
Right.
So New York City got to build a scene because of that. We ended up going to like Big E tournaments to run our like our side tournaments and get together because of that. The fact that we lasted this long, I'm not surprised. Like the combination of good online, just when the game was like going through like the new characters being made, like the dev process was very like player involved. Like we had like threads talking about the changes will happen like every day. We would test them ourselves. So like there's like kind of like this connection with the game because like the end product is basically a result of like all our discussions, like all our findings and whatnot, right?
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just about to ask, speaking of, new characters and stuff, obviously a lot of change in, leadership at the, the developer studio that makes Skullgirls, with all the drama that happened. Now there's a season 1. Season 1, like a decade later. I mean, like, but we have new characters being added in there. Like, how does that feel as a player? Do they feel like they fit in really well? Does it feel like that the mindset is still maintained? Because obviously, Mike's brain was very much like spiritual sequel to MVC2. Do you feel like the game is kind of still, holding on to a lot of those ideas?
Yeah, I feel like with the new characters, Annie and Umbrella, they're in the game now. They're definitely SG characters, but they're not like the SG characters that we got when like the game was initially being made.
Sure.
I guess like they're more like the word's not polished, but like Annie's like her game plan's like simplified, like it's like more consistent. Like some characters in SG are wonky. It's just Mike's first game, doesn't know what's happening, try to fix it as it goes.
Right.
Some characters end up being fine, other characters are just like why is it like this? But I think the general thing with the characters is like do they add something new to the game? So Annie didn't really add anything new, but she added basically what we needed. We need another character to kind of like make teams complete. We only had like 2 characters that did that. Like assist character, DHCs, we needed that, and Annie kind of pulled that role. Umbrella plays like unique. She has tools other characters don't. She's not a reset character really. She's like more of like a poke throw character, and she just cashes out damage. So we're getting new stuff along with the like new characters too, but they do fit in the game. It's very weird playing against new characters after 10 years, I will say. Like playing like against Annie for the first like 2 months and like the best player in the game is picking the character, it was not easy for us. But it's nice to see them. Like I legitimately like when Annie came out, I was excited, and when I saw Season Pass, I actually like almost cried on stream. Like it was like a big deal that we were getting like new characters and new options in the game. It's sick. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really curious about your perspective on the ups and downs of the game, because it's definitely had downs too. I mean, that comes on, of course, on the heels of a bunch of developer related issues that for a while seemed like Skullgirls was not going to have a future in the same
it didn't
sort of
seem
way.
like it wasn't looking too hot.
I mean,
Bro,
there were people in the scene who were like, "I'm not going to play this anymore." Like it.
Yeah.
How was that
looking
whole
rough.
experience for you?
It was horrible, man. Like, because like coming from me at like during like the like we're all at home because of the coronavirus thing, and like the only other game I play has no rollbacks. And just like I want to play some SG, but every time I play some SG, somebody puts them in the chat, smokes me. I'm just like the vibes are bad. People are quitting. It was horrible because like there's no other game like it. Like you can't replace it, right? So during that time, it was horrible, man. It was bad times. I will say. I didn't just see how we were gonna make it out of it. Like I thought it was just gonna be a game I play online, and then that's it. You know.
Well, I mean, it ended up having things obviously work out in the end. I mean, I'm just curious how not just you, but how you feel the Skullgirls community has adapted to like good news, terrible news, great news, like in this like bizarre roller coaster.
It was absurd. Like when like SG got like some quality of life changes with the net play and stuff during like the beginning of the pandemic. We were like, yes.
Right,
Then some controversy happened. We're like, bro. And then like some good stuff happened. We're like, yes. And then it just absolutely just like disintegrated. And I'm just like, bro, like what are we gonna do? And then the new developers and stuff basically gave us just like I want to say this is legitimate like our third chance, like not even our second chance.
I mean,
at
like,
life, right?
do you feel like this is the best period of time to be a Skullgirls fan? Because, you know, new seasons and all this stuff coming out.
You're at Evo.
And it's at
Online.
Evo officially. Like, do you feel like this is the best time to be a Skullgirls fan?
Probably now, yeah. The only other time was probably like around 2014 when I got into the series. The scene was pretty
8 years ago.
pretty big.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Time ago.
There was then, and then like the game ended in 2017, and from 2017 to 2020, like we had events. We had like 3 events a year. The community still played, but we weren't growing. Now the scene is growing. Like I know a lot of players are like afraid to pick up the game because it's a devious game. Like you play that game and you have to be a demon. But since there's so many new people picking it up, and there's gonna be more people picking it up, like there has never been a better time. There's never been a better time to be a fan. Like there's so many big tournaments to watch. The fact that we're at Evo, I never thought it would happen. Especially since like right before that we were at CEO for the first time, like as a main game too. It's been a really good year for the game. I think anyone who's interested in the past or now, there'll be other times to pick it up for sure. The season pass is just like we were only one character in out of the 4 or 5 characters. But now it's like if you want to learn, like definitely do it before all the characters are out, and then you have to learn all the matchups in a row, right?
So let me ask this question then. You know, if you are coming into Skullgirls and you're brand new, where would you recommend that they hit up to start, you know, making friends with the community to get good advice on how to learn the game?
Twitch.tv/Dekillsage. Where do you take?
No, that's actually pretty much it. Yeah, like a lot has changed in like the past 8 years. Like forums are basically dead at this point, basically for every game, right? We used to be really active on the forums, but now the forums are kind of dead. Everyone's on Twitter or like Twitch and YouTube. So really, like if you want to get into the game, like I'm probably your best bet right now. If not me, yeah, like it's something that I don't want it to be me. I want it to be like more than just me, but right now it's like just me. But we also have a good wiki page on Mizumi that has a ton of information, and we're constantly updating it. It teaches you how to play the game. So I would recommend doing that as like a source. And then my streams, if you want to like, because I do beginner lobbies and stuff, like you want to get some match experience, you can come to my stream and stuff like that. I answer questions. Those are the big 2 places right now, I would say.
Okay. So
We had a bunch of questions from people just wondering your takes on things. One of them was, you know, if there will be a Skullgirls Season Pass 2, like what are you looking for? Is there anything else that you want to see in the game? Any like, I don't know, characters,
system
any other
changes or
mechanics?
anything?
Yeah.
No new system mechanics. I actually think they're perfect as they are.
Cool.
I want to see the game get things that modern games have. Like we don't have a ranked mode. We don't have waiting for matches in training mode. Our trial modes are bad. Our tutorial can use an update. Our lobbies are held together by like duct tape. Like it's an old game with a lot of old game problems that I really want to see fixed. I really would want to get those things. Like Guilty Gear Plus R has like this thing, like you play the replays, you can put yourself in the replay to like learn about a scenario.
That's right, yeah.
That in SG would be like the best thing for a new player to have. Like if we can get
I
that,
can see that for sure.
it would be huge. And in a ranked mode, so the new players don't pull up and then play the best player in the world like on quick match. Like, I would love to see those things.
You know, speaking of best players in the world, what's your prediction for Evo 2022? Is it going to be you and Sonic in grand finals? Is that going to...
I hope so. I hope I can make that far. But some of these players are kind of demonic. Like back in my day, it was a little bit easier. Playing the new school players and even the old school players now. Like with the revival of the game, we basically we left the game and came back with a new perspective. Just like it's like now we know how to play fighting games. Let's push the game. We've been pushing it like crazy. Sonic and we're definitely like top 5 contenders, but there are some other players that have been giving us a lot of trouble recently. There's a Peacock player called Triv. Peacock player called Triviality is a demon. The only player in a long time to beat Sonic twice in a tournament happened recently. Cloud King is our evil champion. When he plays well, he plays well. There's a Japanese player called Pen, and that man is absolutely demonic. So if we all come together, it might be crazy. Like we don't know who's gonna take it if we all come together at one event.
Nice.
It'll be sick.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Dragon Ball as well. So you know, what was your route of getting into that game?
Dragon Ball for me is weird because it was like the game. Sonic was just like play this game and become esports. And I was like, okay.
It transcends.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I will try. I actually, when I first started playing the game got me really annoyed because it basically took all the versus game rules that I learned and basically flipped them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like air blocking now puts you in like a ton of block stun, like extra block stun.
Bad idea.
The goal isn't like poke mix anymore. Movement is kind of just like I ended up liking the movement later, but initially just like movement is just like a simple air dash, it's universal. And I'm just like, bro, what is happening in this game? And like, what am I even trying to do? So it was frustrating at first, but the more I played it and the fact that so many people were playing it, it was like a very competitive game. I ended up enjoying it towards like the second year a lot more. But yeah, if Sonic never told me to play, I actually wasn't gonna play it. Like it's the same with MVCI. Like I wouldn't have played it. I would have just
You've just been Skullgirls and that's it.
I would have just peaced out. Just done something else.
Now,
You know?
obviously, you know, the current topic right now, I saw Sonic post about this, you know, saying that lab coat should be banned and everything. What's your views on that? And can you explain to people what it is that makes lab coat really strong?
Yeah, so Season 4 is kind of annoying in general, but Lab Coat has the mechanics. She has a level 1 super. It's invincible. It's a command grab. That if she hits you with it, her special moves get a 21% damage increase, and the opponent's overall damage is lowered by 21% and is permanent. It is not fun to get hit by that, and if someone is playing that character and you're not playing that character, you're actually just throwing. So people are worried that she's like gonna be like, I guess, like the MKX Tanya, right? Like when she was OD at that one CEO, and it was like Tanya Grand Finals, they were just teleporting. It's like Season 2 had GT Goku, but the requirements for his win condition wasn't 1 bar, and he had to hit you. 21's requirement is that anyone on the team hits you, and you have 1 bar, and you get it in the 1 hit you get debuffed, and it's permanent. Like you can't deal with it. Like you're stuck with that.
It's not even time based, huh? It's just
it's permanent. Yeah, you're stuck with it. It's not. It really feels like the developers were just like really trying to sell this character, or they just wanted to prank us. Like when they made that character. Yeah, it's like
April 1st, sorry, we put a new patch out.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Our fault. It wasn't supposed to be permanent. Like it's bad right now.
Okay.
Well, okay.
So
I
are you pro banning lab coat, or are you saying let it rock?
I want to get carried, so I'd say let it rock a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer.
Dude,
All right.
that's the best reason to be honest. Like being honest about it. I mean, how do you feel about the progression of the game in general? I mean, it's definitely gone through its own ups and downs. Maybe not in the same way as Skullgirls, but like in terms of how players have perceived it, I would say it's definitely gone through some ups and downs. How has it been for you in sticking with it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just want to add, like, in particular, when the pandemic started, Skullgirls got a boost because of netcode, and Dragon Ball kind of got hit because of the netcode, right? So
Yeah.
Womp
Um,
womp.
Yeah, as a competitor, it made playing Dragon Ball just like such a hassle. Like it didn't feel like I was really playing the real game. It's just like the
I mean, you're
input
not.
delay
Yeah.
going up and down. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Season 3 was like the changes were kind of annoying. They took away like the stability you had. Like the snap option in season 2 was pretty busted, but it kind of gave you control. Because DBFZ has so many random things that can happen. And the developers, like from season 2 on, were just like that random thing that's really annoying. Let's make it better and better and better and better. And I'm just like not only are you making me play this on your dog netcode, like I also now have to be afraid of this dude full screen, like doing his safe on block EX attack that kills my key blast, and then he gets 80%. And now the new character is gonna take away 21% of my damage when she does it.
Yeah.
It is really frustrating. I think a lot of players are annoyed with like changes like that, which is annoying because a lot of the other changes are really interesting. Like characters got better like mix up, like they call it mental stack. Like they have so many options, like you can't check it for all of them, and that's how they open you up. DBFZ has a lot of that. They improved that a lot. There's more assists, team synergies are better, but the new mechanics they introduced, like they introduced a second comeback mechanic. Why?
right.
Like the first one is sparking, is just like is like X Factor, right? Like toned down X Factor, and then when your last character's in, they get every benefit of that minus jump cancel. So they jab me now, and they do 70% of my health bar, and I can't recover it. It's like why?
Right.
So it's frustrating, as a competitive player. If like pandemic never happened, I would have just dealt with it. But with like there like being like no tour, no events, like it's like a for fun game. I'm not gonna put myself through that stress or through the net play to play it. And I think a lot of players are feeling that way too.
Do you think that maybe some of the panic around lab code is that people don't think another patch is coming, or at least not a significant one, because they kind of dropped one character and then said, "Okay, bye." Like we haven't heard anything. Do you think there's maybe some of that going around too?
100%, yeah. The lack of communication from the devs has really been the thing. It was just like, yo, if this is the last patch, like I don't know, man. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
they
maybe
just
this game is smoked.
yeah. I think people will play no matter what. Like it's fine. But yeah, the lack of like communication from the devs has really put people like on the edge right now with the game.
I mean, it sounds like to me, like for your community, are you guys at a point right now where you would want like another, like let's say like a Street Fighter V definitive patch where they try to rebounce everything, or do you want them just to maybe even just make a Dragon Ball Fighters 2 at this point?
Dude, I'm hoping for that. I want to see that.
Yeah, I think most people would prefer a sequel, not so much because of they want a new game, but that's our best chance of getting rollback netcode. So like everyone would rather it be a sequel for that alone.
Yep, that's my thoughts too.
Yeah, like the way I look at it now, the game could be like the way it is now, but if it had rollback netcode, like it would be like, so what, bro? Like we get to play at home, you know what I mean? Like I think people would prefer that over a change. But since it feels like we're not getting that, I think like the Street Fighter V, like please just tone down some of the things you've added to the game, and I think the players would be happy with that.
I mean, this said, Bum's Birthday Bash had like almost 200 people who entered, and people came internationally for
Huge
it.
prize pot.
Huge prize pot. Big viewership on Twitch. It still seems to me like there is a strong scene for the game. Is that, as somebody who's more in it, like is that your perspective too?
Yeah, the way I look at it is like the scene is doing fine. Bum and in EU like Damascus and those guys definitely play a
Yeah.
big hand in that. If we didn't have Bum, it would probably be dead in NA, like straight up. Like we probably would be smoked. So shout outs to Bum for really holding it down for like not only online before I seen in New York City. He's like the like Dragon Ball was like on the decline and Bum pulled up, went back up, right? He's just that dude. Um, no, I think in terms of like the scene has the numbers. Like obviously it's lower than it was before, but like it's still very active. The big thing for me is like when being there, the excitement more so came from the international competition. But when everyone was playing it, like you get hit by the EX move one time and everyone's just having a bad time. People were like really frustrated. Like it's just fighting game stuff. Like players will be frustrated, right? And I think this is the most frustrated they've been. But it's just like, well, this is their game, so they're gonna still pull up anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I watched part of the stream. Like the energy in that room was super sick. To be honest, like it was really really cool to watch. It was sick watching Sonic play, and like I really enjoyed. Even though as I'm somebody who I haven't played since like probably the first 3 months of the game, I haven't really kept up on top of it. But I still really enjoyed watching it. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the international competition aspect of it as well. That to me has always been the best part. Is just like NA, EU, and Japan, and I guess Oceania. I've never seen them play. Everyone has really good players, and then they come together, and it's just something epic.
I mean, Wawa ended up taking first at it.
I mean, that was a thing, right? Like even last year, you know, I had given Dragon Ball like I think it was like top 3 fighting game of the year for me, just because of a lot of the things that happened, like the France versus US, 10v10 with Yasha, and all that stuff in Damascus. Like, it sounds like there definitely have been a lot of ups. But I mean, it sounds like to me kind of similar with Tekken when Leroy first dropped. I mean, maybe Lab Coat is kind of doing the same thing to the game, right? Kind of maybe putting a little downer on it.
Yeah, I would say it's basically the equivalent of like having a Leroy drop, and everyone's just like, bro, like, come on, like, are we trying to have a good time or what? Like, it's yeah.
There's a couple different games going through that right now, I guess. So, like I said, people sent in some questions. Somebody wanted to know how it's been doing mix masters and what you have learned from that, or maybe for people who aren't familiar, you can describe like what's going on there.
Yeah, so Mix Masters is our Skullgirls / Marvel 3 tournament in New York City. It used to be weekly, now it's kind of just like I initially wanted to do monthly, but since I'm probably going to move from the city pretty soon, and because the last one was like so big with the pop bonuses and the production and all that stuff, I kind of wanted to spread out the event. Recently, it's been really hard to get people to come out to locals.
Of course,
with people playing online and the amount of money it costs to go to one. I really do think the best, especially since our games are smaller, the best thing to do was to run like a monthly event to give people more time to find out about the event, to get time off, to get the money to go. Because dudes drive from New Jersey, they got to pay the tolls, and then parking, gas is super expensive too. You have to give them time to get their funds. And then advertisement nowadays is so absurdly difficult because the only platforms people use are Twitter, and like I can't reach everybody on Twitter, so I have to try to do it on YouTube. I can't reach people on YouTube. There's no forums. I'm just like, how do people randomly find my event? Like maybe Facebook.
Right.
So I need like at least a month plus to advertise the event, especially when the scenes are so like kind of like small. When people find it, like we had like 30 for SG, like 20 plus for Marvel, and I'm sure we can get more if I had more time. I've definitely learned a lot from running the event. It's from running it weekly to running that one, it is so much.
Yeah.
In terms of just like from the little things like getting people to come out, and then just like where do you put the setups? Like where do you like think people are gonna stand? I was super wrong on that. I didn't get. I was so unoptimal when it came to where to put the setups. I was like, damn,
I'm
bro.
glad you're doing that though, man, because like so many players and top players in particular, like have never had that experience.
Yeah,
and they don't understand how hard that shit is. So
I think it's so
I'm glad you're like doing that.
But I mean,
I've done it for a long time.
Yeah.
If people want to learn about Mix Masters, again, is it just twitch.tv/Dekillsage and twitter.com/Dekillsage?
Yeah, that's it. It's just horrible. Like you have to. If you go on Twitter, my pin tweet is the video link for the tournament. But if you go on Google, you're probably not gonna find it.
Yeah.
Or if you type Skullgirls tournament, you're probably not gonna find it.
I mean, I know I probably don't have the biggest Skullgirls, following or Dragon Ball following or whatever, but feel free to tag me, dude. I'm down to retweet. So
Yes, please. I would love just more shares on whenever I decide to do the next one.
yeah, just let me know.
So you're going Evo this year? Yeah, sounds like
Yeah.
it. Are you planning to play both SG and Dragon Ball, or are you just really concentrating on one?
I entered SG, Dragon Ball, and Multi Blood, but
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna focus mostly on SG. Dragon Ball, it depends on my situation. If I can get legitimately good practice, then I would give it a shot. But SG, I don't know if we're ever gonna come back. Dragon Ball, this is like the third year there. I've had my
see.
2 chances, right? This is like maybe my one and only chance for SG. And if I
Yeah.
don't make top 8, I might actually lose my mind. So I very much would like to focus on that event. But I did enter them, so we'll see
So-
if I decide to play in them or not.
What's the record between you and Sonic Fox these days when you play Skullgirls?
Oh my god, they get so lucky every time. It is not
yeah.
good.
Luck, huh?
They
I've
get
been
so
in like
lucky
maybe
every
like
time.
one,
Every time
like
it's luck.
once out of like the 7 that like once out of the 7 times we've played, I've beaten them. It's so annoying. The last 2 times I was up 2 games both times, and up 3 to 1 character, and I still lose them. I can't keep losing like this. But I'm getting close. Like they definitely are beating me still in tournament more often than I'm beating them. But it's like I would say more competitive now than it was back then. Like I'm getting really, really close to figuring it out.
And have you guys gotten Noon into Skullgirls yet?
Noon did play.
Oh,
But-
nice. Okay.
He was not ready. Like he was not ready to pursue that game.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
curious
it's a gear
about
life
I'm
for
curious
him.
in general, like about what it's like. Obviously, you have known Sonic for a long time. You guys have been close for a long time now. But I guess maybe I should ask how you describe yourself. Many people who become top players, they work at it. Like eventually they get there, and it's like not necessarily an easy road. Sonic Fox is like, obviously they put in who knows how many hours when they were really young. So there's a lot of backstory to this. But nowadays, if there's a new game that comes out, like they're instantly good. Like it's just right away. Like what does it feel like to play against that? And for yourself, how is it to learn in playing against that? Like, is that actually helpful for you to play against somebody like that?
Oh man, playing Sonic when the game first comes out before I know how to play it is absolutely worthless for me. I get no information.
Yeah,
I usually
I would
it takes me a bit before I learn the games. Like Dragon Ball took me
Yeah.
like I want to say like 2 to 3 months before I really just started to like figure it out.
Yeah.
We are not the same in that regard. Like when a new game comes out, it takes me a long time. It takes me a lot of effort and like a lot of thinking about the game, and just a lot of just like anger because I get so tilted playing new games. I'm like, this would never happen.
A lot of
like this
anger.
other game I played. So, I just have to get like past that part of like the mental, and there's like a huge huge climb for me. It's easier if I like the game. I couldn't do it with the newer games that have come out. But yeah, we are definitely not the same in that regard. I definitely can't randomly top 8 Evo just because I understood the game from like the first 2 weeks.
Before we let you go, real quick, DNF the Duel. Did you play it? Thoughts?
No,
None.
I will pass.
Empty, no
Oh,
thoughts.
dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will pass. Yeah.
Oh damn! All right.
Well, I asked this question to everybody before they leave the show. And obviously, this is also plugging yourself as well. But where did the handle Dekillsage come from? That's a really unique name, too.
Yeah, so Ocarina of Time, there's a tree called Deku, right? Originally, I wanted to call myself that, but I was like really young, so I was like, I don't remember this thing's name, so I misspelled it, and it was like Deki, and I was like, I guess I'll keep it, and I'll add 2 L's to make it Dekill. I'm like, that's a thing, right? But the Sage came from me playing Maple Story. I was just like, I want to play the Sage class. There's no Sage class in Maple Story. I thought there was. So I called myself Dekillsage. And this was like when I was like 14, and like from 14 till now, it's just always been my tag. I've never changed it.
Your whole tag was created off of mistakes?
Yeah, just straight up, just like, oh, I guess it's not this. Now it is. Like, yeah.
How old were you when you did the original like misspelling of Deku?
Like 12.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I also chose my tag when I was 11 years old on the internet. All right,
to be
then you get
done.
saddled with it for the entire rest of your life, buddy. Good luck.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah, forever.
I mean, I like it.
Sage.
People just call me Sage. They worked out. I could have called myself Dekill and like some other random word that's horrible, and then that's what would have been my name. So
yeah.
it worked out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool, man. Well, thanks a lot for coming on and chatting with us for a while. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
fun.
yeah. Thanks for having me.
And again,
Yeah, dude.
everything is just what? Twitch.tv/Dekillsage, Twitter.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think everybody
Everything-
else is calling themselves Dekillsage. So,
Yeah, except Instagram, because apparently if someone tags the word, you can't make that your account name. So that one is Dekillsage 2.
Wow.
It's really weird.
Wow. Weird.
That is definitely a weird one. All right, cool. Man.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for coming on. Appreciate you spending
Yeah, no
time
problem.
with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
Peace.
dude.
All right, later, homie.
Have a good night. All right.
So what? What is this term "bombo" that's coming from? Like people are talking
It's a
about
bomb
bombos.
combo, James.
It is just a bomb combo. Because the funniest thing about that was back when I used to write combo facts all the time. I typed the word combo so many times that I could not type the word bomb without putting an O at the end of it. So I was just writing bombo all the time anyway. So
Bombo is just a meme.
okay.
But I just say big combo. So Bombo.
Okay.
That's what I say now.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I was laughing
All right.
so hard. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
All right.
All right.
Later, guys.
Later, dude.
Oh, I was
funny
cracking
'cause,
up
like,
that whole time.
We all like big combo. I've heard the term bombo, for
Bombo.
like
Yeah, big
like
bombo.
for a long time,
Really?
and it's always been. I mean, not commonly, but yeah, I'm certain I heard it
I've
back
heard
in the
it before.
2000s. Yeah, and at the time it was a bomb combo. People were calling things the bomb back then, and it was a
okay.
sick combo. But then people in chat were like, "It's bomb loops." So maybe there's like at least 3 different definitions of what
Dude,
a bombo.
It's like
you
how
know, a bombo's whatever you want it to be, guys.
Whatever
Dude,
you want it.
I mean, that's just like Yipes' Pringles, right? It means you're terrible. It means you're amazing. It means
Yeah.
you're whatever. It's like the word Smurf at this point, right? It means whatever you need it to be.
Hella for sure. All right, let's move on to the next one. The 5-5 matchup. We're going to start out with our own question this time, as we do sometimes. And that is, as you can see, is free to play the answer for fighting games? Would one of you mind giving the backstory to this question?
Sure. Maximilian made a video begging
yeah,
for games to be free to play, fighting games. And it just spurred a big old Twitter discussion, a good old fashioned, very civil, well thought out Twitter discussion
Absolutely.
on should fighting games be free to play. Yeah, so that's pretty much just where this whole leads to is should fighting games or can fighting games or is the future of fighting games free to play?
I
mean, oh, go ahead, James.
No, I was just about to say, like, it's interesting because, obviously games have tried it. Killer Instinct has tried it. DOA has tried it. So it's definitely
Tekken's
not.
tried it too.
Which one?
Yeah.
There was a Tekken
Tekken.
free to play game as well.
That's right. Tekken Revolutions. Yes, that's right.
Brawlhalla.
They talked about it on the Fighting Game Roundtable as well, talking about free to play. And Harada seemed like he was kind of the opinion that free to play doesn't work for fighting games as well. Again, I just don't think that they understand it quite yet. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that Japan as a whole has been kind of behind on a little bit more of the
Rollback.
yeah. Again, I still believe Street Fighter V was meant to be free to play. Because my main evidence was that right when the game dropped, there was one point in time where Mika disappeared from the character select screen. I just figured that there was probably switches in the back, like if you were subbed or whatever, or if you bought the character, they could turn characters on and off and stuff like that.
And there were rumors even before that like during the dev time, there were rumors coming out that it was supposed to have been like that. Obviously, it didn't end up
Right.
being like that, but there were definitely rumors at that time.
Many rumors.
Yeah, and the tricky thing about it, honestly, is that, you have to understand the free-to-play model. In fact, I was talking about this with people on my stream as well. Free-to-play model, I mean, I know it's less like this than it was in the past, but free-to-play model still does kind of benefit largely from whales, you know? And so the thing about it is fighting games are not going to survive on free-to-play models through their characters. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to... Because if you ever have the choice, and especially if you're a professional, you're going to just buy the whole game because you want to lab the opposing characters and all this other stuff like that. You want to test them out, et cetera, et cetera. It has to be through something else. So you have to divine a good system for it. So, in fact, even before we started the show, what were we talking about, Tubo? We were talking about costumes for ArcSys games. And the way that they design their characters is not very conducive for costumes. ArcSys can't really make a free-to-play game if they're not going to be selling a ton of costumes unless they can figure out a different way to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I just think fighting games haven't figured that out. We haven't figured out the smart ways to do that yet. Like, mobile games are so good at, like, these gotcha systems or, you know, these side things that, you know, you can put, like, a gem into and you put 5 gems and it gives you this, but there's a chance that, you know, like...
James, I don't want to wait 30 minutes for my farm to be built. I'd rather just spend money on it to be built right now.
Exactly.
Well, I would disagree that fighting games haven't figured out how to do it correctly, James, because I think Brawlhalla has smashed it out of the park.
Well, talk about how Brawlhalla works.
Well, when Brawlhalla first came out, I don't know if this is still available, but there is like a founder's pack you could buy for $20 that ensured during the lifespan of the game, as long as the developer is supporting the game, every single character that came out from that point on, you would own. So $20, you get all the characters. Used to be that way. Again, I don't know if they still have that option. I bought it, so I have no reason to ever look it up. Anyways, so that was very easy to like get people into the idea of buying into this free-to-play game. Because what they would do is they would give you like 1 character per week or 2 characters per week that you could play that were free, completely free.
Right.
You don't have to spend any money at all. They rotate every week. You get to try out new characters. You can buy them individually if you really want to, but I think 1 character was like $6. All 20 of them or whatever was $20. Very, very easy to buy into that, right? But what really sold the game over time was they had tons of customization and cosmetics, but also crossovers with IPs like Avatar, tons
Adventure
of Nickelodeon stuff, and tons of cartoon stuff. I'm surprised they haven't done one with Marvel at this point. Like every major IP basically you can think of, they've had crossovers with. So I think that's how they've actually like broken in how to monetize a free-to-play game is they have crossovers with other IPs. They get people to buy into their game that normally wouldn't play it. I mean, Fortnite, if you look at them too, they have crossovers with every goddamn IP in America. But I think that model works for fighting games as well.
Here's the thing, though, right? The difference between that is that for Brawlhalla, all the characters are essentially the same character, right? They're kind of just skins. With Fortnite, when you switch to Ryu or Guile, they don't gain extra moves, right? It's just a skin. So there's very little work that needs to be done with something like...
Well, no, I mean, I think you could do that. Why shouldn't I be able to play as Ryu dressed like Deadpool? Like, I think you should do that. It's still Ryu. He just says chimichanga and throws a taco or whatever, rather than a Hadouken.
I mean,
I don't see why they shouldn't be if be able to do that with Ryu.
There are some like that in Street Fighter V. You can be like
Ryu
is some stuff from other games.
I think if Dalsim had a Rick and Morty skin, and Rick was saying, "Oh, look at my stretchy limbs" or whatever, and burping everywhere, people would lose their minds and buy that shit for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's the answer. I think the answer is partnering with other IPs. I mean, I'm no expert in this shit, by the way. This is just my dumb opinion.
Yeah. I
want to make that very clear that I am like not a marketing genius like so many people on Twitter think they are. I love game dev. I have lots of friends in game dev, and the least interesting thing to me in game dev is how to monetize a game as a service game. So I don't give a shit about that.
Two things I will say
I could be way wrong.
I would hope then at least I would have the option as a person playing against it to turn off the skins in a fighting game.
I doubt that you'd be able to.
Right. Yeah. But secondly, the question was asked. I mentioned the concept of the whale. in free-to-play games, and they ask what a whale is, probably either more for the audience than anything. But the whale is basically the big whale. You're catching the big whale, and that is the dude with infinite money that will spend all of the money on all of the DLC or on the...
those guys do exist in Street Fighter V too.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
Mean Saltine has told me that he knows people that have bought every single piece of content in Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
That's gotta be thousands of dollars.
look,
right?
I'm telling you right now, if I was like super rich baller dude, do you know how much money I probably would have spent on FFRK at this point in time? Like, I probably would have spent hundreds of dollars on that game. And we knew a couple of people who were, I won't name names, but they were originally from other parts of the country, moved to Southern California, lived with, with me, around me for some periods of time.
Somewhere in your neighborhood,
who like literally spent hundreds of dollars on this weird like dragon game with like eggs and stuff, I mean, like
You mean
this stuff,
Puzzles and Dragons?
this actually happens. I have friends who spend a lot of money on FFRK because they have their
but those
waifu.
aren't fighting games though. Those aren't fighting games. That's different.
Right, but that's my whole point is like, to your point, fighting games need to figure out how to do that. Costumes is one way, but there's a lot of other little extra side things that you can do as well. For example, like, it sounds kind of lame, but like having unique taunts that you can buy, having unique win quotes, having unique voices so that, Ryu, you can pay $5 for Ryu to go fire from my hands, instead of saying Hadouken, like, people will buy this stuff, especially because like the FFRK thing, like, Terra's my waifu, Lightning is my waifu. I have to make sure I have everything for this character, so when this character's banner comes up for gacha pulling, I'm going to just drop everything I have until I get their stuff. And so if you are the biggest Laura fan or you're the biggest Sakura fan, you're going to go and try to get... Like, what if, Sakura has the terrible dance win pose, and then all of a sudden they actually sold for $5 the actual slide win pose, actual electric slide win pose, right?
This stuff basically happens in Mortal Kombat 11 already. All the stuff.
All that stuff is.
That's all.
Right.
That has all been done. So look, my perspective on this is.
Oh yeah. So just want to say yes, black belt scrub. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm agreeing with Tubo. So.
Yeah. You guys, people want it to be free. People want fighting games to be free to play, so that more people will play fighting games.
Yes.
Is basically the goal.
That's the idea.
That's the idea. I think that's partly mistaken, I guess. So I certainly think that part of why games like Fortnite are so popular is the free to play aspect of it. I also don't think that that's the whole thing. I think there's a lot more that goes into that, and I think that in each of the cases of something that is free to play and that gets extremely popular, free to play is not an irrelevant part, but also not the whole thing about why they're popular. And I think that fighting games themselves could be more popular without free to play. That is to say, like, there are things that are already there that could be done better to increase the player size. And I'm
lobbies that aren't piles of shit. And...
Absolutely part of it, yes. But I just mean, I'm thinking, because I think the company that does this the best is NRS. Their games sell so well. Maybe the company that does it the best is actually Nintendo with Smash. Like, maybe that's actually the best example here. But those two do things that other companies, other game devs could take from without needing to do free to play. Maybe I'm not arguing against free to play. Maybe that's also a good idea for increasing the player size. But I think that even that aside, there are other reasons that fighting games aren't as popular that could already be addressed by themselves. And if you were to just take a game that is just a current fighting game and make it free to play, and you're selling costumes and voices and whatever else, but it's the same game otherwise, I don't think it gets super popular. I don't think that is a sufficient condition. Maybe it's necessary for being one of the biggest games in the world, but I don't think that it's sufficient. So I would like to see first more companies have some of the things that NRS games do. An actual good story. What about
What are you
that? That
talking-
people.
David?
What about
That'll never happen.
What are you
what about
talking
that? Have you ever
dude?
imagined an actual good amount of single player content?
It's
What
not
about
happening.
having raids? There are literal boss raids in MK11.
They have that. They have that in Dragon
People
Ball
love
Fighters.
to do.
Dude,
Like,
what are
there-
you
Dragon
talking
Ball
about, man? You
Fighters.
just
and it
released.
sold great. Yes.
You just released a fighting game with only online, and that's it. Like that's the key to success.
I mean, really, like there's so much that they are doing. And by the way, I wish that MK11 had done it better. Why don't you just let me buy some of the stuff that's in the game rather than like they have this thing that changes all the time. There's like you can buy random bits here and there. Just let me purchase the like.
No, but see, that's the gotcha
Here,
You have to
aspect.
log in every day, bro. They have to keep
That's
their
the gotcha
player
aspect.
Anyway, there are things that I would like to see improved, but I also think that lots of other fighting games could already be doing those things to improve how well they are selling, even on top of whether it's free to play. So.
Dude, it took me forever to get non-zombie Kung Lao and MK11. That drove me absolutely nuts, dude.
Dude, imagine not being able to write good lore. I think this is one of the joke jobs. I'll be perfectly honest, everybody. I think that's like the easiest job to make lore.
I understand that if you write lore, then you're also probably writing the story, right? Like you get that. The lore writer is the story writer, David. It's not
David,
your different people.
David.
It's like I write a story and then I hand it off to David saying, write some lore on
You
it.
and I
That's how
could
that
come up
works.
with we could on this show right now in the next 10 minutes could absolutely come up with better lore and story than most fighting games.
Dude, my
For sure.
headcanon lore for Transformers blows anything Michael Bay did out of the water. I'll tell you that much. But David, I mean, it almost sounds like you've played a game recently that you really hate the lore for, that you think is really, really bad. Is
Oh,
that
you're talking
the
about Elden Ring? Yeah, I do think that's bad. I mean, that game has a lot of other really great features, so it's cool. I'm still playing it, but yeah,
Right,
that is not a selling point in my opinion. But for other people, it is, and for fighting games, clearly it could be, but it's just not like that for most fighting games. So please work on all the other stuff.
Miyazaki had to write that game story because George R.R. Martin doesn't write. He used to write. He doesn't write anymore. He just talks about that he's writing things. It's different.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I'm with David, though. I mean, that's kind of all I've been talking about in my Chen reaction stuff, is that we need to do better to get people to enjoy fighting games again. And I don't think a lot of developers are doing it right. You know, I plan to talk about the games that I think are coming the closest to doing it. But, you know, fighting games, this is kind of the same reason why I've agreed with Daigo to say that, you know, fighting games are kind of out of touch now, you know, like that they are a little bit, that they're in need of a little bit of reconsideration on how to create fighting games and to make them appeal to people, because I think they're missing a lot of that stuff. And
There's nothing in Street Fighter V, dude. There used to be
Right?
things. Well, you log in there and there's like, here's your little daily things to do, and it's just
Challenge
almost
to get more points.
almost nothing to do in there.
Yeah.
dude, and not
And
only
it's
that,
always been that way.
but not only
Almost.
that, I will still say that Street Fighter V, and Capcom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but like of all the modern played fighting games, Street Fighter V is one of the worst games in terms of like making players feel cool. Like there's like almost like you don't like there's no Tekken slowdown. There's no cool bash someone through the wall kind of thing. You know, like in Guilty Gear in the middle.
Counter.
You know?
there is actually the bash the people through the wall.
Yeah, but that stuff is post round, and it's just like,
Yeah,
it's,
okay.
you know, like Bison falls into Bison's hand and explodes, and you're like, okay, sure. You know, but like in the game, like I've even said, if you heavy punched or heavy kicked someone out of a throw whiff, and it wrote shimmy on the bottom of the screen, shimmy, like that, like
Please,
that would
please don't
like,
say shimmy.
That would be
Capcom.
hilarious.
Right. I'm just using it. Obviously, let's find a
Yeah.
better word. But like
Whatever,
my
it's
whole
fine.
point is that one, it would make people feel cool when they land it. Two, you've taught somebody the core mechanic, one of the core mix-ups of Street Fighter, of punching someone out of their throw whiff. Right? Like it's that simple that you do things like that in the game, which is why I think Strive is actually doing a lot of things right. You know, they've actually made it so you get endorphins when you're playing that game. And Street Fighter V is probably one of the lowest natural endorphin fighting games. You get endorphins once you learn how to steal turns. When David wakes up with hand slap, I mean, he will cackle like a maniac. I mean, right? But you aren't going to teach someone who's jumping into the game to wake up with hands, and if they do, they're not doing it for the reason David is. They didn't do it because they knew they stole a turn. There's nothing about that makes them feel good. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, landing a shimmy, stealing turns, those are the endorphins of Street Fighter V, and that is not something accessible to lower level players. We have to make fighting games so that those endorphin rushes, when those dopamine hit kind of things, are natural. Smash Brothers is the best game in the world at doing that, and we have to learn from that. You know what I mean? We have to seriously very, very take a closer look at how to make fighting games fun. When Street Fighter 2 first came out, you know, when you just Honda headbutt across the screen over, once you learn how to do it, you just did it all day, and it just felt good because you were just throwing headbutts out and like sumo wrestlers flying, and it's cool, you know? And we're missing a lot of that in fighting games now, I think. DNF does a good job with it, too.
I think all of us would be cool with free-to-play, not opposed to it. Maybe it's a good idea. But if you're going to do that, please also do the other things that are important for making your game so well.
Yeah, part of this being about free-to-play is how David was mentioning, is that free-to-play is not going to solve the problem by itself, in and of itself. There are other things to be solved.
Okay.
All right, next subject.
Dude, Bretonian. MK3 uppercutting people through the roof. Back in the Alt Games SF days, in the Newsnet days, Alt Games SF2 and Alt Games MK2 were like battling. They hated each other because it was like Street Fighter MK, and I was like describing why Street Fighter was better. I was like, because you've got this mix-ups, all these mind games and everything like that. And guy replied to me, I was like, but MK has better graphics, better sound, and you can punch people through the roof.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I mean, hey, it's
back then, I was like, you're an idiot. Today, I'm like, you're kind of right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to do our 5-5 viewer question segment now, where we let you pick one question, because we just did one of them and spent some time on it. So let's have the list here. James will be setting up the poll. I'll ask the questions for you. Number 1. When people talk about how the FGC is thriving, sometimes it's from a 2D perspective. Do you think 3D games are in a bad spot right now? None of them have rollback. There isn't many offline scenes for them in comparison with other games, and it feels like the only option is Tekken. Number 2, what character would surprise you the most to return in Street Fighter 6? Number 3, team games such as Marvel vs. Capcom have always been too daunting for me to try out, semicolon. I have a perception that there is too much going on to keep track of, not enough time to learn a team, and too high of an execution barrier. Am I wrong? There's the 3.
Vote now! Exclamation mark 1, exclamation mark 2, exclamation mark 3. And that will start adding your vote. If you are a subscriber, you can vote twice. So I will keep an eye on this, and when it seems like one of them is starting to become a clear winner, I will call the vote.
All right, UltraDavid's taking its vote.
This is super even right now. I can't.
Is it really? Oh, wow.
Dude, it is really even right now. There is no clear winner. It's like going back and forth.
Arctic Shoto's voting for their own question. All right, good luck. Good luck.
Dude, that's the way it works, man.
Yeah, well, you gotta do that.
Dude, shoot.
All right, I'm putting my finger on the scale.
Can I actually put this on the screen here? Look at this, dude. Look at this.
All right. What are we at here in terms of numbers at this point? 36 to 34 to 28%. Dang, you want to give them an old countdown there, and we'll.
All right, yeah, countdown. So, and after I finish the countdown, I'll wait like another 5 seconds just because of delay. But here we go. It's 10, 9, 8,
Vote.
7.
You got to do it now.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 1 is the winner here, barely though. 37% to 35% on question number 2. So there you go. So
I definitely thought number 3 was gonna run away with this. I'll be honest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I did. But okay, there you go. Number 1 takes it. The people have spoken.
The people have spoken.
Question is, again, when people talk about how the FGC is thriving, sometimes it's from a 2D game perspective. Do you think 3D games are in a bad spot right now? None of them have rollback. There aren't many offline scenes for them in comparison with other games. And it feels like the only option is Tekken.
Oof, boy, this question's long.
It's
bleeding into our use coupon code at manscaped.com for 20% off all orders. Coupon
there you
code
go.
UCTV.
So,
St. Cola, have you made your order yet?
you better do it. Anyway, what do you got here? What do you give me an answer? What do you got?
I think James has to answer this first. He's the big Soul Calibur guy.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to make this fit. I'm sorry, hang it.
Just ask, do you think 3D games are in a bad spot right now? Like, that's the big part of this question.
Right, that's all I need to do.
To boil it down a little bit.
Yeah. There we go.
With that.
I don't even... Nope, I do still need the small text. Okay. Alrighty then. Okay, so when people talk about how the FGC is thriving, sometimes it's from a 2D perspective. Come on, there we go. Do you think 3D games are in a bad spot right now? I mean, it's tough because literally, what are the 3D franchises, right? There's Tekken and Soul Calibur, which are headed by Harada. And Harada, Tekken is his baby. Soul Calibur is kind of like the picture of the little baby drowning in the pool while the adults, playing with the other kid. Like, that's kind of where Soul Calibur is. Then there's Virtua Fighter, which is they're banking on their old game right now. They're just using their old game over and over again. And then there's Dead or Alive, right? I mean, that's like basically it, right? Those are those three.
What you're saying is we need Bloody Roar to come back now.
Dude, that would be sick. Honestly.
Not happening.
But it is tough.
You could consider Gundam a fighting game if you prefer to. It's fine.
But it's different, right? It's behind the back, right? It's a different kind of fighting. It's a different genre of fighting game. But outside of that, all fighting games are mostly 2D, and it's tough because I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's just harder to make the 3D games as they are, if people just have that much more nostalgia with Street Fighter, so whenever they make a fighting game they just want to make a 2D kind of fighting game. But I mean, the only thing that makes those 3D games like more 3D than the 2D fighting, the 2.5D games that we have now, is really just the ability to sidestep, and having sidestep be one of the biggest factors there. I mean, honestly, like,
pretty big.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a pretty big one.
Yeah, and actually, like, having the stage, like the layout and stuff. But I don't know what it is that people don't want to make that kind of fighting game, or is it just harder to make? So we don't get as many of the indie Skullgirls, starting off as indie Punch Planet.
I think that the truth is fighting games became popular in 2 dimensions, right?
Yeah.
So just naturally, 3D games didn't come out until much longer and much deeper into the life of fighting games.
It was like,
so there's just less IPs. No.
Virtua Fighter was out in, I believe, 93. Maybe 92.
No, it was not 93. There's no way.
I think so.
There's no way. I thought it was like 94 or 95. Either way, making 3D games was harder and more expensive. Is my point. It was rougher back then.
Was released in 1993 of October.
Jeez.
Yeah,
that's wild.
That's pretty quick.
But that
and I'd say 3D fighters didn't really become what you think of a 3D fighter is until like Tekken 3.
Mm-hmm.
The way they operated previously, they did not control or feel the way. Play Battle Arena Toshinden and then play Tekken 3, and you'll be able to feel a huge difference in how those games operate.
Battle Arena Toshinden was just like a dodge. It was just like, whoop, whoop, you could accomplish the same thing. And I remember in Virtua Fighter 2, Shun, I think, was the first Shun and Leon were the first characters that actually had any sort of sidestep until Virtua Fighter 3, where it was like now you had hills and all sorts of craziness and stuff like that.
That's right.
I don't know. Like, I do think they're in trouble because, you know, one of the premier developers of 3D games, and this again is one of the things that a lot of people don't give Street Fighter credit for, right? Street Fighter pushed through a lot of things, created the world tours. It kind of like Street Fighter 4 did a lot of work and, you know, revitalizing things. And now, you know, a lot of people are doing things that Street Fighter 4 did where, like, you know, everyone's always facing forward whenever they fight instead of having it always be a, you know, a closed stance or open stance. Closed stance, you know, in a lot of 3D games. Like Tekken's always closed stance, for example, right? You know, there's a lot of things like innovations that came from Street Fighter and they kind of led away. The problem right now is that, you know, and again, I'm not trying to call out Harada in particular, but Bandai Namco does have a very old school mindset, like the frame data thing. They just didn't want to put frame data in the game. You know, they don't want to put, you know, like more tutorials in the game, and, you know, the rollback netcode. They're not putting rollback netcode in the game. Like if Tekken came out with rollback netcode, they have the budget to do it for a 3D game like that. And yes, it'll be hard. It's totally doable. And a lot of people would follow suit. And if, you know, you kind of created that thing and got people hooked on that kind of game in the same way that Marvel got people hooked on, you know, team games, you know, I feel like we would have a lot more of that. But unfortunately, I feel like Tekken, as great as Tekken 7 is and is revolutionary in a lot of things that they did, I still think it's kind of holding the subgenre back a little bit.
I really don't know why it's the case that 2D games do better than 3D games. I have no idea. And I mean, I guess I'm part of it. I've almost only played 2D games. Played Caliber for a while. That's like basically it. No, I used to play VF, I guess, back in the 2000s, but like those are the two. Other than that, I've almost only played 2D. I don't really have a great reason for why that is. I like them, but I don't have a great like reason, I guess. And I don't really know why it is that it seems like that's the case with other people too. It's not like Tekken 7 didn't sell well. Like it sold like over 8 million copies, if I'm recalling correctly. That's good. And definitely, I hope that there will be another Tekken.
There will.
I mean, I assume that there will, but hopefully that comes at some point soon, and hopefully it has a lot of the improvements that James just talked about and that other people have certainly been looking for. But I really am not sure what the answer is for why 3D games have not had as much success. I mean, look, I want to be clear. Like 3D games have had a lot of success. Some of the early Calibers were among the most famous fighting games, for sure.
1 and 2 are like
absolutely, man.
Big draws for people getting into the scene.
And I mean, back in the 90s, Tekken was huge. VF even was big. I mean, like all my friends were playing VF, even though none of us was like a competitive player. Like we all had Virtua Fighter. Like we were all playing it, and I just doesn't seem to be happening anymore. But I don't know why. I don't have a great reason. I wish I did.
I mean, do you have any thoughts on this, Tubo, before I say something again here, or?
I mean, I have some thoughts, but I'm not. I can only speak from my own experience, and my own experience is, I really wanted to play Soul Calibur 6, and I tried it, and I really tried to like it, and what it came down to is there's just way too much legacy knowledge I need. Way too much. I didn't want to learn Voldo and Lizard Man and Mikey and all these Maxi, all these wild characters, block strings and stuff that they've been doing since Soul Calibur 2. And like these players know this shit. I don't want to catch up on 15 years of knowledge. And that's the same reason I didn't play old Guilty Gear games. It's the same reason I don't play Tekken. It's too much to catch up on. Now, if there's a 2D fighter, even if it's an anime air dasher, I know that almost like 98% of the time, if you hit me while you're in the air, that's an overhead. And if you're on the ground, I should be crouch blocking. And that's just universal for all 2D fighters. I think it makes it much easier to go from Street Fighter to any other 2D fighter. Whereas if I go from Tekken to Soul Calibur, I can know everything about Tekken, and then I'll go to play another 3D fighter and I get my shit pushed in because I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think that is a problem, at least competitively speaking, for our sake and our scene, for 3D fighters. But that's only for me. Like, that's only my experience. I would imagine other people have gone through that too, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just bad at 3D fighters, and that's just the way it is.
A couple of things. One, I mean, I will say, as a person who has played Soul Calibur 6 a lot, well, pseudo once a week, I guess, is not really a lot, but like,
It's a lot. Come on.
I mean, it's not as bad as Tekken, especially for legacy knowledge, because there's a lot of things that's. But
Oh yeah,
there
probably
is
not,
there
but
is
it was too much for me to want to catch up on.
Yeah, absolutely. And two, I think that's why I love what Strive did. I was glad Daisuke went that route and said, you know what, screw legacy players, let's just kind of start over again. I'm down with that, because I think legacy knowledge is one of the biggest things holding people back. I do want to add, though, if I wanted to go the Seth Killian route to answer this question, one of the main things that 3D games is missing are projectiles. Projectiles create a very different kind of mindset when you play in a 2D game, because now you can fight from just absolute crazy ranges and spaces and have different attack vortexes and stuff. Seth had a whole article talking about why projectiles were so great, because it's not just close-up fighting. Like, I talk about the Ryu versus Guile match in Super Turbo, and why is that match so good? Because at full screen, there's a difference on who has an advantage compared to this, compared to this, compared to this, compared to this. 3D games, because it has the sidestepping built into it, nullifies projectiles in a weird way, and there's something about just being able to see the projectiles and having to deal with them in a 2D frame that helps. Like I said, this is kind of where Seth talked about in projectiles for a while. I'm not necessarily sure that's true, but that is another factor to present, is that 2D games. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I prefer Soul Calibur to Tekken a lot nowadays, because the Soul Calibur weapons, the horizontals kind of feel like
different ranges.
Right, and they produce, and the horizontals are based, like Ivy's running A, which is a horizontal mid that reaches halfway across the screen, might as well be a projectile, because you can't crouch it, you can't sidestep it, like, it's just there. And so, to me, I like that about Soul Calibur, that you have the different distances and stuff like that. So,
I agree. Yeah, look, it feels to me like some of the things that we're talking about here are not like inherent problems with 3D games. So I think that's part of why I'm not really sure what the reason is. It doesn't need to be the case that none of the 3D games have great net play. I don't know. That's just an accident of life. And it doesn't need to be the case that they're very focused on legacy knowledge. Could totally be like a Strive or like whatever other series, right?
But when the 3D game is Strivified, then I'll hop in. But until then, I think I'm good.
Right, but that's why I was saying,
who's making new 3D games to try this out, right? Presumably, there's some reason why they're not doing that as much. Calibur 6 even is a few years old at this point. Tekken is older than that. Virtua Fighter is trying to make things happen from 100 years ago.
Tekken 7's been at 19 Evos, I swear.
right.
It really has.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, why isn't there a new one? It's got to be some other reason than just the things that we've been talking about.
And that's
not
but
sure.
see, that's where my original point on talking about Harada, someone in the chat was like, really, James, one game is holding back the genre. But Tekken is the forerunner of this genre. You know what I mean? They are the leader of this genre. And, I just feel like, as long as you are stuck in this kind of methodology that, you just keep building it, it's just legacy over and over and over again, you're not going to get the audience who are clamoring for that other kind of game, right? Because, I mean, if you do introduce one, I mean, what is it that would make it not a 2.5 fighter? Is just that you can sidestep? Is that really just all it comes down to, right?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, and usually the way things are animated, the speed of attacks, like what your fastest normal in Tekken's usually like 12 or 13 frames, right?
Right.
Whereas in Street Fighter, it's 3 frames. Yeah. It's much different in that regard.
Right.
That doesn't seem like it needs to be necessary either, though, right? But you're right.
It probably doesn't have to, but that is a difference of those games.
Sure, that is a difference among the games as they exist. But I don't. I don't know, man. I just think there's something that I haven't figured out on this yet.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to
have
sound
a
like
good answer as a result.
I know a lot of people.
Listen, here's the truth. 2D games are better. Hold that shit, 3D
Dang.
players. We've been holding this down since 91. What's it going to be? Run up.
Look,
Wow.
I was
2
just
years
about to
more?
say, I don't want to
Ancient.
say that Tekken 7 is doing anything wrong or doing anything
Yeah, man.
bad.
Yeah, no, I want people to be able to enjoy the games that they're playing. Of course, I would have kept playing Caliber if the online was good. It was just a factor of me not being able to play it online.
Yeah.
I really liked the. I've spent probably 6 months playing that game. I really liked
Soul
it.
Calibur is still.
It didn't
really
need to
good.
be how it went down. It could have been better than that.
But I mean, I've said it before. Like, I really do feel like Tekken 8, they just need to change things up because, like, you know, a lot of things like the Electric Wind Godfist is still the way it is because of the joystick button input, right? Like, that's the only reason why that it still exists the way it is because it's meant to be played on joystick buttons because it's hard to hit a diagonal plus a button on the exact same frame. You know, kind of situation. But once you get a cross up then or a hitbox, it's just like wee kind of thing. So
I hear you. All right, well, there you go.
okay.
Our thoughts, such as they are, not very helpful.
Mailbag.
ones.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we didn't really have any good reason, but just a lot of spitballing,
Yeah,
a lot of
sorry.
spitballing, and I think that's cool though because this is a topic that needs to be discussed. Because I want to see more 3D. I want a freaking Soul Calibur 7. Okay, please.
I want a 2D Tekken. I want a 2D Soul Calibur. Give me all the turn of the 3D fighters into 2D fighters.
Dude,
All right.
Genesis Virtua Fighter 2. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's
Oh,
go.
I don't know about that. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's 2D. It's awful.
There was a 2D Virtua Fighter on the Genesis.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
Imagine
It's
owning
terrible.
a Genesis. You screwed up. Come on.
I had a Genesis and a Super Nintendo. How's that make you feel?
Oh,
I did
okay.
have
Well,
both.
look
I
at
did
you.
have both. My Genesis eventually died because this was before power surge protectors were a thing, and you just had, you know, multi-strips basically. And so a surge definitely killed my Genesis and my NES Advantage at the same time. So it was not
Bummer.
fun.
Yeah, I agree with folks in the chat. I would like to hear what Tekken and like long-time dedicated Caliber players would like to hear. Would like to.
Yeah,
Say
I would
about
like to hear it too.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting. I agree. All right, let's move on to the mailbag where we answer stuff from people. Good job, David. Wait, that was a great intro.
Yep, you did it. You did
Nailed
it.
it. Here we go.
Mailbag time. Here we go. The first question comes from Drem via Twitter. If a fighting game implemented Dark Souls style messages, where you could see tips from other players, but only in sentence fragments with limited vocabulary. What kind of message would you write to have it appear during your worst matchup in a fighting game?
Let me tell you, man, I'm going back to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and I'm hovering over Q in that game, and when I do so, the little runes pop up and they say liar ahead. Don't do it. Don't do it, David. Don't do it. Just move away from the Q. Step away. Never get involved.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, if it was like Cammy, and you're hovering over Cammy and your opponent's Honda, or you actually go in that match, the message might just come up and just be like, pick someone else or something.
You don't have the right. Oh, you
Yeah,
don't have the
I would
right.
just leave that everywhere. You don't have the right.
Oh man.
Getting
man.
stuck in my block string. You want to get out? You don't have the right.
Yeah.
Or yeah, just put jump here everywhere, right? So there you go.
Oh, I saw what was the phrasing now? When I was playing Elden Ring the last time, there was some boss that was easy, and after I beat it, you know, all those runes pop up from other people who have beaten it, and a lot of them were like, it wasn't get good, it was like skill, like acquire skill, something like that. That I really liked. I thought that was good, so I would put some acquire skill in there as well.
I would have a message pop up that anytime I crouch says, "Didn't expect head."
Yeah, exactly.
I would just put stupid shit like that.
Skill issue, is that what it is? Okay, yeah, it's something like that.
Oh my god. Okay.
Didn't expect weak foe. That's true. Yep, that's a common one. Yeah, I'm just leaving didn't expect weak foes everywhere. But oh no, it was me. Liar ahead, David. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh man! All right. And our last mailbag question for the day, Gabo asks, "What RPG game or series would you like to see adapted into a fighting game?" I know we always get like what franchise, and my answer is always something like Avatar. You know, like the Last Airbender. That I would love to see a fighting game
we
like
have
that.
Nick Brawl. Thank you. Okay.
Got him.
True. He's in there now. Him and Korra are both in there now.
And Toph.
Got him.
Is Toph in there? That's right.
Toph
She is
yeah.
in there now. Yeah. But this one is specifically RPG game or series. Which one would you like to see in there?
Man, this is hard for me to answer because I don't play a lot of RPGs. They have never been my favorite genre, even a little bit. But I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like we've already had Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy characters weren't guys, yeah. So I feel like that's kind of already happened, and they were like the top tier characters, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Dissidia was a thing. So I feel like Final Fantasy's been done. I don't know, man. Maybe like Legends of Dragoon, because I thought that was a dope. Thought that was a dope RPG that should have got a sequel and never did. So I guess that would be mine. Like I don't play a lot of RPGs. It's hard for me to answer.
I want to have a fighting game based off of Destiny of an Emperor, the Capcom role-playing game on the NES, based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms genre. Oh wait, they already did. There was a fighting game out there called Sango Fighter, which actually took the Sangoa Fighter, basically, which took all of the famous warriors into and made them fight each other. And in fact, the original Dynasty Warriors was a fighting game, straight up a fighting game, not a Musou destroy everything.
That's actually true. Yeah.
Yeah, I
think that's my answer. My answer is now I would make a fighting game out of Knights of the Old Republic because it doesn't say it has to be a Japanese RPG. I would make a Star Wars fighting game if it would be any RPG.
Hey, that existed as well already. Masters of Terrakasi.
It did. But I would make a 2D one. That's a 3D fighter.
Oh man. What about you, David?
I guess I would stretch this a little bit and say that I would like to make it after my favorite MMORPG, which is the World of Warcraft. And even though I don't play it anymore because I can't on account of being addictable to it, I would really like that. I think that there's a lot of really interesting potential character designs that you could do. Like some of the, thinking back, like some of the classes or some of the raid bosses or whatever, could be sort of like, some of them are clearly zoners. I mean, or could be made into clear zoners. Some of them could definitely be made into just like general rushdown. Some of them could definitely be made into grapplers for sure, like big tanky dudes. So I think that actually could be really sick. And it's been like kind of joked about for a long time that Blizzard would make a Fighters of the Storm type game. Like in Overwatch, there's an arcade.
Well,
and like
Rito beat him to it.
So anyway, I think that could be cool. That's what I would like. My favorite MMO RPG.
Oh,
yeah, I'm
addicted
addictable.
too.
I'm
Yeah.
very addicted.
All right.
I think you could shelve
We
the
did it.
table on that. Anyways. Okay.
Undertale fighting game? Dang, I don't know if that doesn't make sense to me. I'll be honest. As somebody who really likes Undertale, that was a very meaningful game for me. I don't see the characters in that like making sense in a fighting game. That doesn't make sense to me.
Oh man.
Huge Elden Ring bosses in fighting games.
I'm trying to think of.
Dude, I thought about that actually because I was thinking about this question beforehand.
TVC.
Thought about saying Dark Souls.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that. Like there certainly are already fighting game-ish elements to the game, so it wouldn't be a big stretch.
Invasions, right? So.
I mean, like this way you play the game, blocking and spacing and punishing, and it's very
Dude, Dark
actions
Souls,
and
Dark
mix-ups.
Souls,
Dude, bosses are mixing you up all the time.
Dude, Dark Souls.
Did you know Fei Long can do 1 Rekka, or 2 Rekkas, or 3 Rekkas?
Can you believe it?
Dark Souls knows it.
Dude,
Can you
honestly,
believe the audacity of these Dark Souls bosses?
Dark Souls is one of the easiest ways to teach people how to play fighting games, dude. It's like stop mashing.
Rumbleverse is a Dark Souls game, fighting game, like no joke. The lot of the same principles in Dark Souls as in Rumbleverse.
Yeah, I can see that.
Guard cancel or like guard, yeah, I guess guard canceling, what you call it, is in the game. You can cancel your attacks just like with a roll, just like Dark Souls. Like it's very similar. It's very, very similar.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we nailed it, everybody. Congratulations.
Good job. We did it.
Hey, check out our coupon code UCTV for 20% off all orders and free shipping on manscaped.com. I saw people talking about this in the chat earlier. This is only the third week that we have had ads. Like,
Ever.
Not literally ever, but in a super
Ever.
long time.
No, we definitely had like the figures and stuff from
Yeah,
some
we
other-
have done
Ever.
it, but like in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And in this kind of way, certainly, maybe it's the first time. So, please support us and use our code. Even if it's, dude, I don't know, buy a
Buy
razor.
the nail clippers.
Buy the
Yeah,
boxers, t-shirts,
Yeah.
you know, like
I got their boxers on right now, I'm telling you.
show
Prove
us. No, I was kidding.
Prove it right now, live on stream, coward.
Well, I
You
didn't
won't.
say that I can prove it, but I did say I'm telling you that I have them.
Lawyer speak. Oh man.
Anyway,
Okay.
please support it if you can. We have a 4-week preliminary sponsorship with them, and if that goes well enough, we don't actually need to get that many people to use codes, to be honest. And I'd like to continue rambling about ridiculous jokes and stories in the future. It's a lot of fun. So please to support if possible.
All right. Cool. Thank you guys for watching. I forgot to get the birds ready to go here. Let's
Oh,
actually
no.
do that for
You're
you
listening to
guys.
David's beautiful speech.
All right, what are you doing the rest of the
By
night?
using our
TuboWare.
Probably smoking a bowl and going to sleep.
Sounds great. I'm going to eat dinner? Question mark? But I'm not sure what it's gonna be. Ramen. Nailed it.
There you go,
Ooh,
nailed
that
it.
sounds
Did
hella
it.
good. That sounds
Maruchan
hella
classic
good.
ramen. Soy sauce
it.
flavor.
Oh man. All right. I've got stuff I need to work on, so I'll be doing some work. So
James woke up an hour ago.
basically, yep. I've got my
We
day
were doing
just
this shit for
started.
2 hours.
My
He woke
day-
up an hour ago.
My day just
All right,
started.
y'all.
So all right.
Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.
All right.